Love this setup.
Oh, thank you very much. I believe that we are live, but I have to get the confirmation from YouTube, which sometimes takes a bit of a second to load. And yes, we are live. Hello and good evening, one and all. Welcome to the new episode of Primetime Gaming. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and on today's content pack show, we're going to be talking about some of the smaller topics that popped up. And in the second half of the program, my esteemed panel and I will be breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly of gaming in 2019. Now, in order to take on such a task, I needed the best of the best for a panel, and thankfully, I have found such a crew. Now, some are full-time members of the weekly show that you know and love, and a few are the personal friends of mine that I wanted to have on today's show. Now, obviously, because the show is so content-packed and we have so much to get to, I'm not going to be doing elaborate entries or intros like I normally do, but I am going to give each of the members here a proper introduction. And first of all, you know him as being someone who is not afraid to tell it like it is. He is a Star Wars fan through and through, someone that devoured the Mandalorian series on Disney Plus like it was a tasty bologna sandwich. Please welcome So Shady.
Hey, thanks, Boom. I'm so happy to be here. You're right. I am a huge Star Wars fan, and Mandalorian delivered. And I might be one of the few, but the new movie delivered for me too. I had a really good time with that. Every other Disney film has triggered me big time, but I thought the last one was good. Maybe it's because I've given up and just I'm there to have a good time, but I loved it. I'm in a good mood. It's the end of the year. Let's get into it.
Well, listen, it's going to be a great show. I have not seen the film yet because my brother and I had premiere tickets the day before, and he had an emergency at work, and unfortunately, I will not go without Neo Mental. We have seen them all together since we were kids, so we're going to keep that trend going. Hopefully, we can get that done maybe this Friday, but let's continue on with our remaining panel members that are here. We are still waiting on Noof Nukem and, of course, Gaming Forte. But you know him as the voice, the loudest voice of gaming from a little show that some people might have called Crossfire on Friday nights. He is also someone that was a part of the MNC Morning Show, someone that was also a part of Xbox Nation and has had his hand in everything gaming for years. Please welcome the Mooch.
Welcome, buddy. This is great, huh? I gotta even say welcome because I'm not used to being a guest. It's great. Boom. Always good to be on the show, man. We kind of had this little powwow before the show, and I'm taking some notes. There's a lot of great things that happened based upon what your subjects are today, but all this kind of became very relevant in the past 6 hours on Twitter. Everybody's been pretty opinionated on what we're going to get into. So like you said, it's going to be a great conversation on the panel front, and it's going to be an even better conversation with everybody in the chat. So I'm looking forward to the show tonight. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, listen, it's great to work with you. And obviously, I always hearken back to the opportunity that you provided me as a fan. And it blossomed into this unbelievable craziness the last 18 or 24 months that I've been on YouTube. And of course, I always thank you every time I get a chance, because if it wasn't for the Mooch giving me a shot on Crossfire, and actually, folks, if you don't know the story, it really was like a bucket list kind of a thing. Get on a gaming talk show, talk about gamings, and it's a check mark, and you go on to the next mission. And little did I know that it wind up exploding into this, where now I have my own mini empire. And I've met so many amazing people, and so many people within the community, and also had nothing but fun, unlike anything I've ever experienced.
I'm glad you brought up that last part there, Boom. That's kind of what it's all about. I've been saying that for years. You get on and you do 2 hours every other day, or sometimes even more than that. If you're Twitch streaming, etc., you've got to get on. And this is a pastime that for myself and as well as for you, and I think everybody on the panel, is something that we love to do. And now we get a chance to come out here, and it's not a right or wrong. It's really just a matter of let's discuss what's going on in the gaming world, because guess what? We're going to benefit from all of it, right?
Yes.
So in the long run, that's what it's all about. It's about having a good time, and I don't think you could have said it any better.
No, thank you so much for being here once again, and thank you for the compliment. And last, and certainly in no way least, someone that I consider to be la familia, as he's known to many people in this community, and someone that I actually talk with almost on a regular basis, not just through DMs, but we actually talk on the phone. Someone that is an integral part to the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, something that I think everyone should subscribe to. Please welcome Enrique.
Where's Roach? Boom. First of all, man, thank you for that introduction, man. And I'm honored to be here. It's the last, I guess it's the last show for us of 2019, of this decade, this wonderful decade of gaming, by the way. I think this has been a great 10 years of gaming.
It
probably
some
of the best that I can remember. No, we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But dude, an honor to be on the panel again, man. Appreciate it, and looking forward to talking about these video games.
Well, listen, let's again, as we wait for the other two panel members to jump in here, we have to go right into the hot button topic. And of course, as Mooch had said, Twitter in the last 6 hours has been a buzz. Now, listen, I'm going to be the first one to say this. Listen, everyone on this panel and the two gentlemen that are going to be coming afterwards are gamers. And when I say that, I'm not being facetious in any way. We are going to own a PlayStation 5. We're going to own an Xbox Series X. We're going to own a Switch Pro. We're probably going to own a PlayStation VR 2.0. We're probably going to own whatever new system comes after that. We're gamers. But obviously, this is real. This is reality, and this is social media. And right now, there's a lot going on with the PlayStation community, and it seems to be a very divided community at this point. Simply because you have a lot of fans who are ultimately disappointed. And how are they disappointed? Well, let's get into the first topic. First of all, thanks to Albert Pernello, who I think Mooch actually knows, who's an industry insider. There is some new and extremely interesting PlayStation 5 specs that many PlayStation fans will be upset about and could potentially put a huge damper on the excitement factor for the launch of the PlayStation 5. So now what do I actually mean by that? Well, listen, in early 2019, we heard from Mark Cerny. Now, he is the, of course, genius of a man and the chief architect behind Sony's highly anticipated PS5. And they're expecting to pick up where they left off in this generation with both the PlayStation 4 Slim and PS4 Pro. And basically what I mean is they're looking to continue running past the finish line. And while they didn't share the official name or the release date, we know it's the PlayStation 5 and we know it's coming in fall 2020. Cerny did shed some light on a few choice details about what we can expect from its hardware. So here's what we know. The PlayStation 5 is going to use an SSD drive in an attempt to eliminate load times. Hardware-based ray tracing, which is great because we originally thought it was going to be done through software, which is a cheaper version of the hardware-based one. AMD designed chipset expected to have bespoke 8-core AMD chipset based on the third generation Ryzen architect with a Navi GPU. Backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 4 games, and of course the PlayStation VR hardware, which is great. 3D audio, which is basically Dolby Atmos, which the Xbox One X already has, and apparently 8K TV support. Now, in a statement that was sent out following the presentation, Sony said two key words to the future direction of the PlayStation. And these are the words that they used: immersive and seamless. And with the immersive experience created by dramatically increasing graphics that are highly rendered or rendered in a fast way, and they also achieve through the employment of further improvement, compilation power, and a customized ultra-fast broadband SSD. Now, what we didn't know at the time, and this is where it starts to get a little salty for some people, not only in the chat, but in the community. We didn't know what the teraflops for the console was going to have. Well, like I said in the opening, Albert Pinello just tweeted some new information that some people are not going to be happy about. And if you are into the whole console war nonsense, well, start waving your flag now, folks. Here is what he said via his official Twitter account. I said my range was double the Pro plus 10% margin, 8.4 to 9.2 teraflops at $399. I took a lot of heat for that, but we shall see. Well, here's the thing, folks. We've been hearing in the last, I don't know, this started Friday. We've been hearing that 9.2 teraflops is probably the solid number for the PlayStation 5. So now where's the saltiness come in? Well, obviously we have it confirmed that the Xbox Series X is going to be 12 teraflops. Now, we also don't know what the price is, and there has been some talk, and obviously depending on where you go, $399 is what Sony is looking for to price the next PlayStation console at. I still don't see how that's possible, considering that the Pro, the current Pro, depending on where you go, could still be $399. I still think it's going to be $499. The question is, what is the Series X going to be? Is it going to be $599? Is Microsoft going to really punch Sony in the gut and drop it at $499 and then hit them with that two-prong attack that I've been talking about for almost 12 months now? I called it, and I think everyone could attest to this, that it was Microsoft's Trojan horse. And what do I mean by that? Well, the Xbox Series S is what it's being dubbed, which is the Lockhart. And I have a funny feeling that could launch at $300. And if that thing is as powerful as the PlayStation 5, even at $399, Sony is in big trouble. So, Mooch, I want to go to you first on this, because we had a big conversation prior. I'm sorry we didn't go live the minute we started talking, because, my God, we were really going at it.
Yes.
Let me ask your opinion about this. You see, now there's a lot of things that Phil takes heat for, and you yourself and many people in the community have been a little hard on him because you didn't like the way the direction they were going with some of the moves that they made, and I would agree with you on that. But we do agree that sometimes Microsoft makes moves, small moves, that don't necessarily make sense up front, but when they back away from the picture, it starts to form something. And if Microsoft, Phil said, and I quote, they will not be out of position in price and power. And I got to tell you, looking at the first-party games that could potentially launch alongside the Series X that are all going to be in Game Pass day and date, which is a big thing, on top of a possibility of a 2-SKU attack, Sony could find themselves in second place very quickly. What are your thoughts about the 9.2 teraflops?
Well, I mean, you kind of covered a lot of ground there. There's a lot to kind of discuss.
Well, listen, you're a good talker, so you can take it away.
Well, absolutely. This is all mental notes, folks, mental notes. But I've been paying attention. So my point being is this. We'll start with the teraflops. I mean, first of all, we've got to look at it this way. Microsoft is going to deliver. Okay, they're going to deliver. I don't think many people would argue with Microsoft will retain the power crown going into the next generation. But just like everything else, you've got to kind of start to look under everything with a bit of a microscope. And you sit back and, history has a tendency of repeating itself, boom. So, if you take away Red Dead Redemption 2 and possibly one other third-party game, a lot of times, even if I asked everybody on the panel and I hooked up to a lie detector test and I said, what do you think is the best-looking game this generation? A lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people would say God of War.
Yeah, okay, I actually would have to agree with you on there. I mean, I might throw Resident Evil 2 Remake in there, but
that's fine.
But I would have to agree with you because God of War is a triumph in itself.
And you're talking about, 6 teraflops on the X compared to 1.8 on the base PS4.
Correct. Yes.
So when it comes down to it, sometimes that's the thing. I agreed with where you were going, Boom. But I just want to make a counterpoint and then have a great discussion about it. Is that, does it matter if you have artists, developers that can work with less power and still put out a better product? I mean, that's what it comes down to a lot of times. And we saw it this generation because, let's be honest, for the past 2 years, Microsoft has the power crown. They've got
Yes.
the strongest console on the market. They advertise it that way. That's absolutely no news to nobody. So my point being is that the teraflop argument, and you got to understand something too, folks. You know, I've been doing this for a while now. I went from when, right, been doing this for a while now with the Xbox camp. And, you know, when we were, you know, 900p, 720p, and it was a power. And people say, how could you say power doesn't matter now? I'm not saying it doesn't matter. But the difference before when 2013 loomed around, boom, was that you had less power, more money for an Xbox versus less money and more power for a PlayStation 4. Now, one of the other things you just brought up a second ago was, do you think that the Trojan horse, as you put it, the Lockhart, aka Xbox Series S, is in Sam, okay, will that overpower the PS5? There's a lot of things I don't like to say never. You never say never, right? That's almost a never say never. That's a never. That's not going to happen, because the idea here, just from a logical standpoint, is you've got Microsoft saying, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the bookends, okay? We are going to have an Xbox One Series X or Xbox Series X at the top threshold, which I truly believe, okay, will be $599, and that's not a negative. They're putting the. I've always said.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you, it's like a PC. You. A lot of people on this panel, you and Brat more specifically, you understand that because you are part of the PC master race. So you understand. I know we laugh about it, but you also understand that in order to be in the upper echelon, right, the upper tier, you have to spend the money.
It costs money to dance. Okay, that's what it is, right?
It does. It absolutely does.
So they're gonna put. Listen, I have no problem ever, no matter what we're talking about, even if it's a fine slice of pizza in New York. And you know what I'm talking about? Boom. Okay, they're up to $3.75 for a cheese slice. That's murder. But nonetheless, I don't mind paying that price when it's a hell of a slice. And when it comes down to it, I don't mind paying $5.99 if it's the goods. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day. Okay, this is a situation, okay, and I've said this a bunch of times, boom. This is a different generation. For the first time, whether you absolutely are an old school gamer or you're brand new, you have to hear me out. Everybody that made financial purchases on either side is most likely 90% certain to continue down the same path with that company and that brand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right?
Yes.
So when I'm trying, let's break it down, boom. Let's go, because you had a lot of information. So if Microsoft wins in the teraflops, right, and they have more power, and Microsoft even undercuts Sony, they might match them in price. But let's say you're a Sony guy, boom, and you've got 300, 200, 150, 50 games, and 6 controllers, and a PSVR. Are you going to say, oh, you know what? I'm leaving all that in the past. I can't wait to get my hands on those extra 2.5 T-flops.
No, right. But what if you're one of the other 90% of the casual PlayStation owners that has like 6 to 10 games, and half of them are Madden, FIFA from the past, 2-3 years old, a COD from 2 years ago? You think they give a shit if they're bringing those games with them? They're going to go where the price is.
Right,
that's right. They're going to go where the price is. So if Microsoft does have a cheaper alternative, they might have the price advantage. Game Pass lets them have hundreds of games for next to nothing right out the gate. You know they're going to bundle a couple months of Game Pass into every box. Like, the value, I think, is going to be on Xbox side regardless. I mean, most guys are casuals. Like, they don't have many games, and the games they do have, as everyone says, are usually these big franchises that are yearly. I don't think they care that much that there's backwards compat. They're just going to go with what their friends buy and what has the best value for them.
I agree. Actually, everything you said, Shady, is right. But if you listen to a lot of what you said, it's a lot of what ifs. What if they bundle this? What if they give you a deal?
This whole conversation is really what if. It
is a bunch of what ifs, right? So what I'm saying to you is right now you have the incumbent, right? And that's just the way it is. I don't care if we're talking about sports or we're talking about video games. The incumbent generally gets the tip of the cap. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to win. It doesn't. But like you just said, Shady, and I agree with you. That's a good example you use, where 6 games, 1 controller, no PSVR. Why wouldn't that individual jump ship? Here's the thing, okay? Microsoft, here's my counterpoint, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's a counterpoint, okay? Why, if Microsoft's intent was to come out with 12 T-flops and match Sony's price at 9 T-flops, they don't need a Lockhart.
That could
The
be like a
reason-
double-pronged attack, though. Like, if you could match it for those guys that care about power and are willing to spend the big money
Then
day
what's the
one,
other one
early
for?
adopter. The early,
Well,
that's,
I mean, listen,
that's for the more casual early adopter that doesn't want to spend 5 or 6. They want to spend 3 or 4. Like, I think it would be
Well, we have
huge.
something for you. It's called last gen consoles.
But if you don't want to play last-gen games, you want to
But
play
it's the
current
same
gen
thing,
with some
basically,
ray
except for the
tracing just at
CPU.
1080.
Well, I mean, they're talking 14. It's a much weaker console. I mean,
it would be,
well,
but if
I'm
you're
gonna
playing
say
those
this.
next-gen titles just at a lower resolution, that's all some people care about. Most people have 1080 TVs still.
I would just go get
arguably.
an Xbox One S for $99 if I'm that guy.
It
Yeah, you know
depends,
what,
though.
but
Like, if
here-
you're
but
willing to
here's the
spend
thing.
200 more and get those new gen titles, right?
Yeah, I mean,
play the
listen,
new titles on the
this is the way you have to look at it, okay? Right now, currently, like everyone that's here, we have almost 170 people watching live already, and we just started. I want to thank everybody for being here. I mean, that's crazy numbers, and this is going to be a big show. I have a feeling of it, and I would not have a show if it wasn't for everybody in this chat. And I want to say this. Everyone in this chat, everyone on this panel, we are the hardcore. We are the 10 percenters, maybe 15 if you want to push it. And if you want to go crazy and really pull your hair out of the root, you say 18 to 20% of the market is the hardcore, which I don't believe. I think it's still anywhere between, maybe if you want to be generous, 12 and 15, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 4 is probably has surpassed 110 million. I think it was 106 before the holiday. So we're probably going to, I'm going to just say 110 just to be generous, because Sony, they know how to move consoles, right? We know that their holiday pack-ins this year were just bananas, right? So they know how to move consoles. Let's say 110 million consoles across this generation is unbelievable numbers. But when you look at it, when you actually break it down to percentages, 85 to 95, I want to say let's really lowball here. Let's say that out of the 110 million consoles, 80 million of those consoles are the casual gamer who bought it because it's the cool system, right? 80 million. Now, there are, I mean, me personally, I've owned 4 PlayStation 4s. I know, Mooch, you trade them in like you change shoes.
Absolutely.
When you're going to get the better the better edition.
The minute I see a 2-for-1, Moochonomics kicks in.
Yeah, you have to do it, right? Yeah, Moochonomics,
Absolutely.
right?
I love
Moochonomics
that.
101, right?
Moochonomics.
When you look at it, the casual market is what led Sony to be the victor. Now, I'm not saying Sony had nothing to do with it. Sony had the first party games to bring the casuals, to get the hardcore, to talk to the casual gamers, like, hey, what's that game you're talking about? Oh, God of War, did you play it? Oh yeah, I remember God of War. I played it on the PS2. No, not that God of War. That's your dad's God of War, kid. This is the God of War that you have to try. And people went out and bought the console because of 1 or 2 games, and then and that's how they made their business. But see, here's the trick pony from Microsoft. You see, the difference this time around, and why this is going to go a totally different direction, and why I actually think Sony's in trouble. Okay. And I'm not saying that Sony isn't going to be a dominant force. The PS5 is going to be an effing beast. 9.2 teraflops is nothing to sneeze at, folks. Whether it's $399 or $499, I'm buying it day one. But here's the difference. Right now, it appears, based on information that has been, again, unconfirmed information in talk in places like 4chan forums, Reddit, Reset Era, Sony has nothing ready. None of their first-party games are going to be ready to ship until holiday of 2021. That is an entire year, 2 years from this date right now, right? So what are they doing? Well, they made a deal with Gearbox, right? Gearbox is putting out Godfall, which looks fantastic. They got a year exclusive on it. I'm probably buying it day one. They also have Bluepoint is supposedly working on 2 secret PS5 games, one of which is rumored to be a Metal Gear Solid reboot. And holy shit, if it's that, because I'm going to go flipping through the store when I pick up that game. But going back to Microsoft, this is the difference, guys. Microsoft is going to have the power, 12 T-flops. Now, they said that they weren't going to be out of position in power and price. Microsoft financially, and I'm not saying they're going to do it because I don't sit on their board. I do have stock in Microsoft, as people saw a picture during the holidays that I took. I do actually have stock in Microsoft, not a lot, but a little bit. But I'm not sitting on the board, because if I was sitting on the board, I say you take that $100 loss and you match the PS5, and then you really put the fire to the boots.
Here's the thing, Boom, and I get where you're coming from, but see, again, you sound like Mooch circa 2015. See, here's the thing. I said the same thing when they saw the issue and what was going on, where they were getting beat with power. You would think that they would have taken. I love the Kinect. I thought the Kinect was still a very good idea. I like how everybody made fun of the Kinect. Now everybody's got Alexa and Google Home everywhere in their house. But my point being is that what they should have done back then was reduce it by $100, and that was the last thing they did. They actually took the thing out of the box, then reduced it. So
yeah, I mean,
but they're not going to make two SKUs, Boom. They're not going to make two SKUs and take a hit. It doesn't make any sense.
But here is the difference, and this is why this is, again, how I think it's going to play out is I still think that the Series X is $499. I think that's the price that it's going to be.
That's the sweet spot.
That is the sweet spot.
Well,
now a lot of people are saying the sweet spot is $399 for the PS5. If Microsoft has the two-prong attack like we think, and they release a Lockhart, a diskless Lockhart, which is what apparently it's going to be, right, to cut costs, it's going to possibly be slightly less powerful than a PS5. So more than likely, it's going to be a 1440 60 FPS box, right? Now, we know that the Sony box is probably going to be, well, we're hoping that it's going to be, 4K, 60 FPS. We don't know, right? We don't know what they're doing in that box to cut costs to try and get that sweet spot. But here's the difference. The two-prong attack, right, is what they're going to go with. Then the X factor, no pun intended, is Game Pass. The rumor is they're going to package 3 months of Game Pass in every console. You bring home that console. You take that console home, whether you're a hardcore or you're a softcore gamer. You immediately have access not only to 200 games. No, you get access to every launch title that is available day and date of that system, instead of having to go out and buy the PS5 at $399, $499, and depending on your budget, because not everybody can afford to do it, buy the whole lot of games, right?
Well, so first-party titles in Game Pass.
Right. The first-party
not
titles.
Assassin's Creed, right? You won't have Assassin's Creed.
You're not going to get Assassin's Creed in Game Pass, but on top of the X Factor in Game Pass, and on top of the two SKUs, you're going to have the Power Crown. This is a triple crown theory. Again, folks, this is just speculative talk. And we're here just talking with almost 200 people watching already, which is bananas once again. But you know what, Mooch? I'm going to come back to you. First of all, I have to welcome Noof Nookum into the building. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Noof. I'm going to come back to you, but I want to get to Enrique, because Enrique, who obviously runs an amazing show, is constantly doing content left and right. When he feels like it, he jumps on the mic. He doesn't care if there's one person listening. He's talking about it. I have to get your opinion on this, dude, because, listen, we understand what Microsoft did wrong in 2013, but this is an entirely different Microsoft.
Yeah,
and it seems like, listen, I mean, we were all a little bit dumbfounded and shocked with the reveal of the Series X, even more so with Hellblade 2. This is a Microsoft. This is a Phil Spencer that kind of got a bit of a strut in his step. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think obviously Microsoft's in a better position than they were, I think, coming into this generation, and then halfway through this generation. They've, with the acquisitions of those new first-party studios. We know Phil's talked about not losing the Power Crown or pricing, and we're going to see that with the Series X and presumably the Series S, or Lockhart as people are calling it. But honestly, I think in terms of how this might play out. I mean, I just go back to the last 25 years and look at that, and Sony. I mean, the last 25 years they've been the dominant brand. I mean, albeit from the time when they shot themselves in the foot at E3, told everyone to get a second job. Even with the PlayStation 3 and the mishaps that console had, it was, hard to develop for, it was overpriced. It was a very powerful console. It was really powerful.
Well, the cell technology was advanced. It just maybe not have been the best choice for game development.
Exactly. And so, but even then, if you look at that particular generation, Sony still managed to sell, I don't know, 83 to 86 million PlayStation 3s globally. So I think it's probably going to be more the same. I think people that bought PlayStation 4s are going to buy PlayStation 5s. I think it's going to be very hard to get people to jump over. You'll have people like us that are going to, be multi-console owners and buy, all 3 or 4 consoles, whatever the case is. But I think it's probably going to play out the same. And I'm just basing this on just what I've seen over the last 25 years, and Sony's dominance in the marketplace, and like they just have this tremendous brand, not just here domestically but globally as well. And I think even globally, I think it's probably where they have more dominance than the Xbox brand does. But the whole thing with people also, Boo, I think you mentioned something about people freaking out about 9.25 teraflops. That's nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
dude, that's a lot of T-flops, dude.
Yeah, it is. And look, they're going to have some. They're not, like you said, they're probably not going to have a lot of new first-party content at launch. But I do know, because I have talked to one particular developer who's actually working on a console, an exclusive launch game for them. That, hey, you know what? This thing is an incredible piece of hardware. And you're not going to have to worry about power when it comes to these two consoles. It'll be very capable. And so for me personally, like the one thing that I'm looking forward to more than anything else outside of these specs is how these games are going to look. These games are going to look phenomenal. I think
obviously really we got a snippet of what games could potentially look like, because a lot of people are like, yeah, they're doing magic tricks, but we're talking about Hellblade 2 looked ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean, it looked great, and and that's the thing. I mean, no matter if you get a PlayStation 5 or
let's bring up one of those pictures. If you look at the screen, look at the screenshot, folks. This is if this is what we're getting in next generation, get ready to have your eyeballs bleeding. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, and Mooch,
I think go ahead.
I say, Mooch, you and I have had a little bit of a sneak peek, a little bit of taste of gaming on multi-core CPUs,
yes,
and high-end GPUs and SSDs. You and I have had a little taste of that, right?
And it's fantastic. I mean, there's another couple of things, and shout out to a couple other guys that are on YouTube that I kind of talk to, and they tell me all the time. They go, one thing you got to understand is so what's the best selling console right now?
It would be the PS4.
Well,
right,
the Switch currently. Like that's what's selling.
Well, yes, Switch and they don't have power.
It has 1 teraflop.
Right.
So you guys got to understand at this juncture, because everything's going forward with you, everything's moving with you. People are really concerned with the games, and we used to say that back earlier in this generation. But remember something, everyone has a little bit of short-term memory here. The one thing about earlier in this generation was we were complaining about it as gamers. We got a ton of remasters and remakes because both companies weren't ready.
Hey, Mooch, real quick, I have to shout him out because I mean, thankfully, someone Lethal Papa took care of it. We had Mark Cerny in the chat, which was pretty interesting, and he had something interesting to say, and I'm gonna read it, even though, of course, the sheriff known as Lethal Papa, who I could not do this show without, actually said that Hellblade 2 is AA. Just want to throw that out there. Mark Cerny, thanks for taking the time.
It's not Mark Cerny.
No, I know it's not.
That's a funny troll account, though. I like the picture that he used. That was kind of funny.
It is kind of funny.
But if you guys ever want to visit by Mike Ibarra, I'll be happy to jump on there.
Mike Ibarra in the house. Mike, listen, you know what? Thank you for taking the time to be here. I mean, I know you're really busy at Blizzard trying to get all the your ducks in order there.
Yeah, how's China there, Mike?
But you know what, Mike, now that I have you on the air, Mooch, I'm going to come back to you in a second. Sure. I have to, because obviously Mike has never been on any of my shows, so this is a big deal for me. Should we be concerned about the Xbox Series X and what Microsoft is bringing to the table? What you can tell us, sir?
No, you shouldn't have to worry about the Xbox Series X at all. I mean, you guys have seen this machine. I mean, it looks amazing. Looks like a giant box. It's going to be awesome, man. And finally, it lives up to its name. We're going to have like over 12 teraflops. Microsoft's just going to do a great job with that. I mean, I'm not much involved in here anymore, but it's going to be a fantastic system. I don't think power is going to really make a lot of difference going forward. It's really going to come down to the software. And of course, with everything going streaming, that's going to be a huge deal. So, like I said, I'm not too involved with that much anymore, but I'm excited to see what the future brings for both PlayStation and Xbox. And God knows what's going to happen with Nintendo. Those guys try everything from cardboard to weird VR. So who the hell knows what's going to happen with them, right? So crazy stuff.
Well, Mike, listen, thanks for taking 5 minutes out of your busy day to pop here and get and kind of give us the breakdown. But you know what? I want to go to So Shady real quick because obviously he's chimed in and he always has something interesting to say. Shady, look, here's the thing. The difference between Microsoft this time around is that the games, right? Everyone, and I'm actually gonna have Dealer and Randall Thor as well as the Graphic God on tomorrow's Xbox Factor podcast. It's going to be our special end of the year show. And, Rand had said something on the Xbox 2, Shady, that made a lot of sense. I've actually said it before, but I'm going to quote him because that was a fantastic show that he just posted for last week. And he said this: power only matters until it doesn't. And, obviously, we have to harken back, folks. I mean, I hate to bring up 2013, but the 1080p versus 900p was thrown in the face for years of the Xbox community. And when Sony lost the power crown, it was about the games. Now, granted, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the games don't matter. Games are key and paramount to a console succeeding. Perfect example of what Sony was able to do. Their first-party games are great. But now they're in a bit of a pickle, Shady, because we're hearing from several sources, some unconfirmed, some confirmed, that they're not going to have any first-party, quote-unquote, bangers, whereas now you look at Microsoft. Well, Microsoft has loaded the gun. We know we're getting Halo Infinite, and that's going to be a monster. Forza Motorsport 8. Now, there's even talk of a fact that Motorsport 8 could be pushed back in favor of Forza Horizon 5, which I'll take either or. Right? We don't know how far Hellblade 2 is in development. Some people are saying it's only been a year. I got news for you. I'm hearing that it's been in development for quite some time. This could make the launch, and we don't know what else they have up their sleeves. Microsoft is coming to this dance ready to throw down. What are your thoughts on this, dude?
I think the biggest difference between the two and their first-party titles is that Microsoft's first-party titles actually lure people into a pay-per-month service being Game Pass, whereas Sony's currently, anyways, they don't. They're a one-time sale, and they have to sell well to make their money because they're big-budget, single-player, narrative-driven games. I don't think there's enough of install base at the beginning of the generation for Sony to make money on, like another God of War or another Uncharted or Horizon Zero Dawn 2 at launch. There just isn't enough consoles. So they kind of have to wait. Whereas Microsoft, they can get people embedded into a pay per month service. If you can get them in early, they might be paying for that service for the remainder of the generation, and that will instantly make them a bucket load of money. So I think it's in Microsoft's best interest to have as many first party games as they can at launch that people can play for a very, very, very small amount of cash per month right out the gate versus having to plop down $60 per title. So I think it's in their advantage to release as many as they can, as opposed to Sony, which would wait a little while for that install base to build up. So when they do release their quote unquote bangers, they sell the millions and millions that they're accustomed to doing. And then, on the console front and all this power talk and stuff, it's made for an entertaining time on Twitter and whatnot. I mean, the damage control is it's to an entirely another level, man. You've got guys claiming that the 9.2 teraflops is actually because the V shape we've seen from the dev kit, and there's 2 cards in it. It's actually 18 teraflops, and then you bring in Cerny's rapid packed math, and we're up to damn near 40 teraflops. It's all over the place. The same guys that preached power for years now don't give a damn about it. Apparently, 9 teraflops is a big number. That's insane power in a console. Compared to what's out now, that's huge. But compared to the Series X, if it's 12, that's almost an entire Pro less. That's a lot. This isn't 0.2 teraflops less, and we're just going to see a small resolution difference here and there and stuff. And we need Digital Foundry to zoom in 300% in order to see the differences here. I don't think it's going to be that at all. We've been hearing from some guys, the Don particularly has said he's heard in the past that one of these systems has the power advantage and the games are visually better. They look visually better to the average casual gamer. You get the next Call of Duties on the PlayStation 5 and on the Series X side by side, grab a casual, plop them up, and he's going to go, that one looks better. And he's going to point to one or the other. He didn't say which one it was. He didn't know at the time.
Well, we all know what he's talking about. Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be the Xbox. So maybe it is, but that's not important to everyone, right? Everyone doesn't have a gaming rig.
Shady, would you agree, though, that the casual gamer would also be able to decipher that the Xbox One X version of Red Dead Redemption 2 looked a lot better than that on PS4?
I think with that game particularly, you could tell. You could tell playing on a nice TV that it was just so much more sharp on the X than it was on the Pro.
And it's still sold better on the PS4.
It should. It has twice the numbers, I think.
Well, they had a marketing deal. They do the whole thing, right? They do the whole pack. That's I think what Enrique was talking about. They do the whole package, you know.
When you see every commercial say PlayStation at the end of it, like there's a lot of people that
helps.
They think it's exclusive because of that. I've gotten into crazy arguments in real life with dudes that are 40 years old telling me that I'm not playing Star Wars and Destiny at home on my Xbox because the commercial said PlayStation. I'm like, bro, I'm not lying. These are multi-platform games. They just paid for the marketing. But like full-blown adults think this. So the most casual, I could see them being fooled by that type of stuff as well. But I mean, like that stuff aside, it's going to be a big difference, but that's not important to everyone. Not everyone has the gaming rig. People play in potato mode all the time. A lot of people just want to play these games. So I think that's where maybe the two-pronged attack that everyone's talking about comes into play, right? You've got new titles available on both of these systems. One of them, let's say, launches at 300. The other one's at 5. If the PlayStation launches at 5, that would be ideal. If it launches at 4, I think Xbox should bring down the Series X to 400. Traditionally, at a console launch, these things sell at a loss of like an average of $50 to $75, and then they make their money back on you buying that second controller and maybe
the X actually, the Xbox One X actually broke even.
That's right, and this was the first. This was the first gen where everyone decided to hell with that. We're going to make a little bit of money. If it's only $20, we're going to actually sell these at very little, even or make a profit. And I want to see that go away.
Here's the reason I don't think
billions and Microsoft $1 trillion. So if they can sell it,
I don't think you're going to see them drop that price. And I'll tell you another reason why. The Xbox One, again, you have to look at what we can only look at what we have and then make a hypothesis from that, right? So you've got the Xbox One X, which yes, it's on sale. It's on sale at multiple locations, but it's still retail sticker is $499.99.
It is, so but people are paying that, I guess, is maybe why they just.
But my point is, they didn't. They could have lowered the price, and they could have done it when they first released. They had a $500 price tag mid-gen.
They did.
And they kept it this whole time. So what I'm trying to say to you is, all these things where you're like, well, Microsoft's $1 trillion company. They've been $1 trillion. They didn't become $1 trillion company a half hour ago. So, right. So if they're not going to do these things where they didn't do it with the launch when they were getting killed in 2013, they didn't do it in 2017 when they had the power crown and tried to recoup all the people that may have wanted to jump over mid-gen. They didn't do it then. Now they're coming out with 2 SKUs, right?
They were greedy, big time greedy then, I think, and just tried to make money. And it bit them. It bit them hard.
Organization, it's the same staff. It's the same people.
It's different people with a different mentality. I think Satya Nadella realized it's like, hey, this is the biggest form of entertainment. It makes more money than Hollywood, more money than TV, more money than music. We have our foot more than just in the door. We're a major player. It's time to start taking this serious and not try and make all the money instantly and start being more pro-consumer. Things like Game Pass, things like the discless console for people that's cheaper, especially during sales, and you make your money over time. So I think it's a different Microsoft. And if they can come out with the mentality of the past on we should lose $50 to $100 per console sale and make it back on a few games, Game Pass subscriptions, live subscriptions, controller sales, that would be so much more insane right out the door. Like the console race is a snowball race. You get your snowball made and you roll it down the hill. Whoever gets it rolling down the hill first generally wins because it just keeps building and building and building momentum, and you can't stop it. So if you can, even if it's for the first 6 months, they come on, they go 6-month early adopter deal. The Xbox Series X is launching at 400. It will go to 5. after 6 months. Come in early, get it for 100 less. If they can get the ball rolling insanely fast and big, it'll be really hard to stop that train. And they can afford to do it, man. They can take those types of risks with the console sale, bite the bullet, and make it back on software and their controllers. We all know Microsoft loves selling controllers.
They love controllers.
They do.
We all love controllers.
That's right.
You know
make your money back there, I think. So I think Microsoft, they're set up brilliantly for it. If I was a Sony diehard, I'd be bummed to hear these numbers, no doubt. I went into this generation knowing Xbox was weaker. I still went in because I enjoy the ecosystem. I enjoy sharing games and gold and EA access, all those things with my friends. We all play on Xbox, so the power didn't matter at the end of the day.
So really why would it matter to the PlayStation fan right now that has
not all
going
PlayStation
into the week
fans might,
right?
Like the hardcore.
That's what I'm saying.
They've got 300 games.
I'm just curious. Anybody on the panel right now have less than 4 controllers? Just curious. Anybody?
No. You know what?
I'm staring at like 6 or 7.
To a PlayStation gamer, the average gamer, they're looking at Microsoft today and going, "Hey, look, I can get 200 games, including the brand new first-party titles for less than $15 a month." That's a relatively new thing that is still, actually, the word is still spreading for that. A lot of people don't truly understand what Game Pass offers until they see it.
Game Pass, and I'm not going down the Game Pass route. You guys all know how I feel with that. I think Game Pass is a tremendous value, but we haven't seen any, like, there's just not a lot of talk about it. You don't hear about, you hear it amongst the hardcore.
Well, that's all Microsoft talks about. Like every commercial they have is Game Pass. Their entire marketing push behind
right, but we're not hearing new numbers. We're not hearing how many people they have.
And I don't think you ever will. You never will with something like that because
they do.
Game Pass numbers
brag.
will go up.
They brag when they do well. They brag when they do well.
Of course, but if you give a monthly number and you start that habit every month, if it's not going up and 1 month goes down by 250,000, the narrative is Game Pass is dying, and then suddenly you've got sheeple unsubbing just because they're like, well, I can't be subbed to a dying service. I don't expect numbers, nor do I need them. It's sticking around and it's value for me and all my friends. Like, we're all a part of it. Everyone, even the most casual of the casual. My sisters are a part of it because they can't believe the amount of games they're getting. I think Microsoft they're set up great. So is Sony. They've got a diehard narrative going, but they laid low for a better part of a year and a half, I think, to their detriment. The entire talk, for the good and the bad, has been nothing but Xbox for over a year. And I think it's going to continue. Sony's got it. They got serious competition this time, not just in Xbox, but Google's entered the field, again, for the good and the bad that they're doing. But there's just more people getting involved in this industry today. I think it's impossible for Sony to dominate like they did again. No one company can. There's just too many players these days. The industry is changing. Streaming is coming. We're going to have a lot of guys where that's good enough. They don't need a console anymore. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I think both companies, they're set up good. I think Microsoft seems, at least looking in now early, seems to be prepped up a little bit better. They got beat up all last gen, and they had a lot of time to get their ship turned correctly and plan for the future, where Sony, they nailed it right out the gate, the entire generation. I remember early on, their top brass was literally saying, we are so successful right now, and we don't understand why, and it frightens us, because that's a scary thing. If you don't know why you're being successful, it's hard to keep doing and doubling down on that successful part. And they weren't too sure why. Earlier in the gen, there wasn't those exclusive bangers. They were a bit cheaper, and they had some indie titles. So they kind of doubled down on that with the power as well. Of course, they doubled down on power narrative. But we'll see. I think they just did too well. So they thought they could just coast into next gen, more or less doing the same thing again, which is release your bangers a couple of years in and rely just on word of mouth to get things going. I don't think they knew Microsoft was going to take it as serious as they were and go hard on buying studios, go hard on releasing their games in a service that is dirt cheap to everybody, and go hard on the tech for the consoles. Like they poked the sleeping bear, and it is up and looking for blood. That's all I got to say, really.
No, that's a great point.
Yeah, I don't think they caught them with their pants down per se. I think Sony knows and is aware of. And I think
I don't know, man.
You look at like what's his name, Jim Ryan has come out and said he said, look, we know the history, we know the track record of the incumbent isn't always on the incumbent side, and we're not going to be like resting on our laurels here. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of the message or the gist. And some of the moves they made have been kind of interesting, have been, shifts. And I think in part, probably, responses to some of the moves that Microsoft's made in the industry. And I think one of the more recent examples of that is what they've done with PlayStation Now and changing the pricing model and, getting games like Grand Theft Auto 5 in there and starting to put their first party games in there. Again, they're not doing a day and date. They are, one of the complaints I have with that though is that they are taking their first party games, out after like 3 months or whatever the case is. I think if you're gonna do that, I think they should keep those games in there for the longevity of the service. But I think that those are moves. I think those are telling moves that, hey, look, they see what's going on with Microsoft, and I don't think that Microsoft's necessarily caught them with their pants down. I mean, these guys do talk, they talk shop. We've seen pictures of Phil with the Sony guys. I'm sure they're aware.
They're all friends at the end of the day.
So yeah, I don't think they're surprised by this. I mean, I don't think anyone's surprised by Microsoft's response and their investment in first party. I mean,
I don't know. Everyone and their dog was saying Microsoft is looking to get out of the console business almost this entire gen. That was the narrative. They don't care. They're shutting studios down. They're canceling games. They're churning out garbage. They're just not trying anymore. They're too busy trying to sell controllers, right? I mean, and then all of a sudden they bought up 7-8 studios. Yeah. Some of these studios have multiple teams. They're pouring money way more into their advertising than they used to. They released the X, which killed the power narrative dead, and apparently are coming out insanely swinging with their tech specs, the amount of games they plan on releasing. Like if only each studio releases one game next generation, they can essentially release 4 to 5 first-party games a year. And that's with each studio doing only one in that entire generation. They have so many studios now. They're just pouring money into this division because I think literally Satya was like, oh, I didn't realize we owned Xbox and it made more money than everything. I just didn't know. Let's start taking it serious. And it just takes a long time, a couple of years, to get a company like Microsoft to truly turn around. It is so gigantic. It is so big.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I agree. And I agree. I mean, I think I never thought that they were dead. I just thought that there was an issue that they needed to address, and they have issued that. I mean, but some of these issues with Microsoft in terms of quality and lack of first party, I mean, that goes way back. I mean, before this generation. If you think about them and creating exclusive first party content, but I mean, they've addressed those issues. And but again, my point, I think at the end of the day, I mean, this is how I look at it. At least these companies are going to push each other, and that's the most exciting thing for me. I don't think you're going to see Microsoft or Sony kind of lay the laurels. They're going to push each other, and at the end of the day, we're going to benefit from it as gamers, and that's the part that excites me the most. And it kind of reminds me of when Microsoft was really, I think, taking it to Sony with the OG Xbox, and with Xbox Live, and then some of the first party content they were putting out, and some of the deals they were making with Japanese studios, and it was just an exciting time, at least for me. Jesus, almost 20 years ago, which is crazy. But this kind of reminds me of that time frame when they were really pushing each other as competitors. And we can't forget.
Well, real quick, Shady, before you give your point, I have to get Noof Nukem in here because he's been sitting here for a bit, and I know he's chomping at the bit to give his piece.
I was going to say before that, this would be 10 seconds. And before Sean Layton jumped into the abyss of non-existence, he literally said, like, Sony will be making less first-party games going forward, bigger games. He said bigger games, but less than ever before, ever.
Yeah.
So Sony first-party will be making less games, and when he says bigger, I'm going with their other statement that they said they're going to bring in multiplayer, DLC, and games as a service models to their first party. That's the bigger part. We're not looking at a God of War that's just 3 times more of what we got last time. It's going to be a God of War with DLC and skins and some type of multiplayer.
Something to make money on that back end.
I mean, going in, you've already got one company saying we're making less versus Microsoft, which is buying up the industry and coming out saying we plan on doing 4 to 5 a year. So if exclusive games and just exclusive games are your metric for success, Microsoft is going to kill it next year.
Well, listen, that's a great point. Noof, let me get you in here. And obviously, I have to welcome Tempest's son, who was not going to make it due to a family emergency. Obviously, he just popped in here. That means everything is good. And we're glad to have you, Tempest son. And I'll get to you in a second. You actually got in the nick of time because we're talking Xbox 12 T-flops versus Sony PS5s. To a 9.2. But Noof, I listen, here's the thing, Noof. The one thing that we have to immediately move away from your equation right now is Game Pass means nothing to you because you still buy physical. And I applaud you for that you're staying strong with what you love. You love the physical disc. But here's the thing. You have been a part of this community. You've been very vocal. You've been around for quite a bit. You've been on several shows. You have a couple of shows of your own, and you obviously know that Power matters. I don't give a flying shit nanny, okay, who you are or where you come from. Power matters. That's the end of the story. Because the minute that something is less powerful, to many people in this community, Newf, and you'll admit it becomes shit, right? That's the bottom line.
Right.
And right now, there's a lot of damage control going on in the PlayStation community saying, just a second, 9.2 is okay. And I have to say, this is where I have to pivot and say, shame on you for accepting it, because this is a letdown. And again, I'm buying both systems, but I think it's a letdown considering that Microsoft, and I will disagree with Brad, which we do openly a lot, that I do think that Microsoft caught them with their pants down, because I think that Sony believed that they were just going to strut into the next generation with their thing hanging out and be called Kickstand Man, whereas that's not in fact the case.
Did you say kickstand man?
I did say kickstand man. So,
oh my goodness.
And I bring that up. I say it in a nasty form because Noof is as nasty as they come, and he would appreciate it.
Oh,
so, Noof, what is your thoughts on the 12 T flops versus the 9.2?
Well, the ladies will tell you size always matters, okay? But in the world of video games, okay, things can be a little bit different. And it really depends on who you talk to, and it depends on the audience you're going after. Sure, power does matter. I think everybody that is invested in games as much as everyone on this panel is, sure, you want to have a machine that is capable of the best fidelity, the best visuals, the best performance. I mean, anybody who's bought the Xbox One X has seen and felt the immediate advantage, especially compared to the OG Xbox. It's almost night and day. It even makes your old games run better. Look, the price, but at the end of the day, it's how a thing is marketed, and it's about price. Now, some people could say, well, prices, it doesn't matter to the people that went out and bought Nintendo Switches. But here's the deal, guys, with Nintendo Switch. It's the anomaly in the room. I don't like making comparisons to it, because you know why? Because while Nintendo Switch is selling really well, nobody in this panel, in this room, and half the people that I know don't own a Switch as a primary console.
Exactly.
If that was the only console that you would buy, nobody here would own one. If that was your only choice, well, that's the only way you would own it. But everybody here has it as a secondary console. The people that are generally buying it this time of the year aren't the hardcore people. It's the people that never owned one. It's the people that their moms are pretty much brain dead, and their dads, and they just buy whatever, seems to be the popular trend at school. Because the price, Nintendo never puts their shit on sale. Like Nintendo, like it's bullshit. Their console sold the same on Black Friday, same on Boxing Day up here as it always did. Only, now we packed the game in a box. Their games might have had a $10 drop, maybe 20, depending on which game.
Zelda was $20 off on like,
$20 after how many years already, right? Like Nintendo needs to get their head out of their ass, but maybe, I don't know, maybe they just know something we don't, and they can sell it at no matter what the price is. They got magic in the bottle. They, those guys could sell shit to a dung beetle. I'm telling you, like, it's crazy. And for those guys, but like power matters. That matters to me, sure. But at the end of the day, I think bulk is the value for the performance. Its price is going to be paramount. It's not going to matter so much to the guys who are hardcore. Again, I suspect that a lot of us here in the panel, we're going to go out and we're going to buy the Xbox Series X at day one. You're going to buy the PlayStation 5 probably at day one, that sort of thing. It's going to come down to the games, and I got to give Sony credit where credit is due. They still have perhaps some of the best studios on the planet that seem to scrape every ounce of performance out of every machine they jump onto. It's just amazing how good they are. Xbox, some of their studios need to get to that level. I mean, we're seeing, this Hellblade thing, and that looks fantastic. But again, a lot of it to me looks like pre-rendered stuff. I've seen that song and dance many times. Even at a Sony's camp, they do the same shit. Absolutely. They hype you with the really good CGI intros and all the great stuff, and you're like, whoa, man. But then you get the game and you're like, that don't look quite right. Right. So I want to see gameplay. Proof is in the freaking pudding, and right now I ain't smelling no pudding from anybody. I'm just hearing a lot of garble. I'm hearing a lot of talk, and until this shit's in the wall and it's on my desk and I can play it and I see this stuff at E3, real actual gameplay, not CGI hype. I'm gonna stay on the fence.
I gotta say, well said, buddy. Very well said.
Power is great. Price is paramount.
That's
and marketing.
The thing. It's a lot of wishy-washy, this and that. The thing about it is, it goes back to what we said in the beginning of the show, and Noof just said it again, is that when it comes down to it, you have a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, we have a lot of people that would say God of War is the best looking game this generation, of course, besides Red Dead Redemption 2, right? So taking Red Dead Redemption 2 out of there, right? Metro is also very, very sharp. But the same thing, you have to turn around and say, oh, wow, 1.4, 1.8, pardon me, T-flops on the PS4 original. It's how you utilize the power. It's not just a lot of power, right? You guys, anybody that's listening that's a car enthusiast will tell you, right? You can have 600 horsepower under the hood, but if you don't know how to drive the damn thing,
hey, brother,
you're a mess. You're an
what
actual mess.
confuses me though is when
speaking, the
people
Witcher
like
3 didn't run on the Switch, but it does because some talented studio managed to port it over.
It's like people are quick to say how good God of War looks on a 1.8 teraflop machine, right? It looks insane. We're talking about a potential difference of 3 teraflops here. And people are like, the multiplats will all look the same. How is that possible when we have a power difference that is almost twice as big as a system that made God of War look as good as it did? If we have that power difference, you have that much more ability to make more, particles, better effects, just a higher resolution, a better frame rate, farther draw distances, more characters on screen, just so much more of everything. Because we're talking about a huge difference, not a 0.2 teraflop, 3. That is massive. If 1.8 can make a God of War, what's the difference going to be when we can do a 3? Like, it's going to be staggering. A lot
of people would turn around and say, 6 to 1.8, right, is the difference right now where you're sitting. And now you're saying 12 to 9.2, right? Which, again, I want to agree with Noof again. Until the actual numbers come out from both companies, we're kind of guessing here. And
listen, really again, we know that it's 12 teraflops.
We got to see the benchmarks too, Mooch.
Right.
Exactly.
We got to see the benchmarks. That's going to be telling more than anything else.
In the chat, he says right there, he goes, I'm hearing a lot of nonsense. That's the thing. It's not, nobody knows. Right,
no one knows. Listen, folks.
But what we can say is
in the beginning, the caveat right out of the gate was this is a speculative or speculatory type of topic. Now, if you're in the chat and you're triggered, I say that you probably need to go take a cold shower because this is just a bunch of grown men talking about video games. And if you're getting triggered over the fact that I'm saying 9.2, listen, I didn't say it. An industry insider said it, and as a matter of fact, if you have the capability of being a content creator, I challenge you to create a channel and create a show and get on there and speak about it the same way that I'm doing it. So if you're triggered, I say hit the thumbs down button, leave a nasty comment that I'll read and laugh about, and just keep it moving. Go find someone else that you like. I don't know what to tell you, but this is the reality. Right now, the numbers are out there. And I'm not the only one reporting it. And you know what? I'm going to bring up 2 big time guys that have thousands upon thousands of subs, but compared to my shit 3,000 that I just broke. And that is Randall Thorn 19, Dealer Gaming, and Colt Eastwood. Those guys are the real deal. And they've been talking about 9.2 teraflops as opposed to 12 teraflops. And they actually have connections. They actually have insider information. So I'm not the only one that's saying this. So again, if you're triggered, cold shower, maybe a cold beer, and just take a chill pill because this is just a bunch of grown men kind of throwing our opinion out there. Now, you don't have to agree with it, but if you act like an asshole in my chat, I'm going to cut you off at the ankles. I'm letting you know right now. And I normally don't like the curse, and I don't like being the guy carrying a big stick in the room, but I will be a dick if need be. Just throwing it out there.
Noof nailed it with those Switch sales, and the reason why they are what they are is it's everybody's second, if not third, console purchase. Everyone has a PS4 that wants one. Everyone has an Xbox One that wants one. The Switch now has a pretty decent library of exclusive games. It's worth picking up. So that's why even Nintendo themselves has come out and been like, we're everyone's second console, and we're totally fine with that. That's huge money being in that type of position.
Everyone has a Switch.
That's right. So like all those guys using Switch sales as their reason for power doesn't mean anything. Look at the Switch. It's the Switch is only doing what it's doing because everyone else has an Xbox or a PlayStation. So they're going out and grabbing a second or third console. That's really
you get a lot of Xbox guys will have an Xbox and a Switch. You'll get a lot of PlayStation guys with PlayStation and a Switch, but very few people will have the Xbox, Switch, and the PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
There's always these guys that refuse to own that one console for whatever reason because they cannot wrap their head around the fact that, oh my God, I just can't stand Microsoft. I can't stand PlayStation.
And at least for now, Switch does have the market cornered on portability, at least until streaming is full blown and Stadia's working, xCloud is out, Sony's doing it, EA, until next gen, basically. if you want to play portable and have somewhat current games, you're doing the Switch. So they do have the portability, and then it's everyone's second or third console, really. Like, that's why it's selling what it is. It's not because of any other reason, really.
Yeah, so just to kind of just touch upon the Switch sales, I know I've talked to Matt Piscatella about this. I believe it's about 26% of Switch owners actually are multi-console owners, meaning that they either own Xbox, PlayStation 4. So the majority are actually who own the Switch are actually only Switch owners.
See, I heard it was different. I heard it was over half were actually multi-console owners.
No, it's 26%, and it may be higher now. I mean, it could be higher now, but that was the last number that I heard from Matt.
You know, and
So-
how many Switches are
hardcore
actually
console
acting
there,
as, you know, someone's household's little kid's first console? You get it for your kid, and technically it's his console. He doesn't own an Xbox, but Papa does, or something like that, right? So I'm not sure, but the Switch is selling. Nintendo games also are unique. Platformers aren't being done by third party on a huge level to the status of like a Mario. They're not even close. They just do party games really good. The Mario IP is nostalgic as hell. Their audience is anywhere from kids today all the way up to like adults in their late 40s, just because of how long Nintendo's been around. They got a lot of things going. The exclusive argument kind of works with Nintendo more than anyone else. Their big exclusives are selling to almost half of their install base. Sony's don't come close to half, neither do Xboxes. Nintendo's do.
Well, listen, let me just say this. First of all, I have to thank Sir X-Men. He drops two, not one, two $2 super chat. And the second one, he says, I like the new regular controller for the new Xbox. Yeah, I think it's finally the share button's a big deal. And I also have to thank Kay Asante with the outstanding $5 super chat. He says, even Digital Foundry, regarded by many to be the industry standard, has called these rumors pretty credible. They broke it down pretty well recently. Yes, thank you for that. I appreciate it. If you don't believe me, you can always go to Digital Foundry and you know, listen to one of their videos and they'll tell you. But listen, we've been on this for over an hour, and I do have one other person I have to get in here who is a big Xbox guy, and I'm glad he got here in the nick of time. First of all, Tempest Son, welcome. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. What the topic of this particular, well, the subject of this particular topic was is power, right? And it's power, it's price, it's first party content. There's Game Pass involved here. And I think that when you take something individually, it may not make the biggest deal. Like for Microsoft right now, it is not one thing stands out, not the 12 teraflops, potentially 12 teraflops. It's not the only thing. But when you're making, and Mooch, you'll appreciate this because you're a food kind of a guy.
Absolutely.
When you're making this pizza, right?
Yeah.
Big New York pizza with the slices that are as long as my arm, it's got to have all the ingredients. Right? It's got to have good flour. It's got to have good water. The sauce or the gravy, like I like to call it, needs to be mint. It needs to be great. And of course, you can't have second-rate cheese that's going to bleed oil over your pizza. It's got to be the good gabagool, right? It's got to be the good gabagool cheese. And you make this pizza, and Microsoft seems to have all the ingredients set up to make a great pizza in next generation. What are your personal thoughts on should the PlayStation 5 come out at 9.2 teraflops as opposed to the behemoth known as the Series X at 12?
Should it? I think if the roles were reversed, I think Xbox would be in horrible trouble. Honestly, Sony, I think, can get away with it a little bit because it is Sony. But listen, there's an argument over Twitter. There's been this narrative. Does power matter? Does it not? No, matter of fact, power does matter.
Phil Spencer matter with a rocket launcher? Because I think he does.
He absolutely matters. But no, power absolutely matters. It has always mattered, and it always will matter. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It will matter. Listen, once you get your hands on something that looks phenomenal, feels phenomenal, you kind of get used to it, right? And as soon as you go back, you take a step back. Like me, I have a hard time sometimes playing my Switch, especially if it's a third-party port that I know I can get elsewhere. Just because, I mean, you've experienced the real deal. Sometimes on my PC, I play games that just flat out play better They just play better than any console version. It is what it is. And as much as I hate sitting at a computer desk, all upright, not lounging back, sometimes I'll take that plunge and I'll just play the PC version because it feels better. It looks better. So I have news for you. When you go from 9.2 teraflops to 12, there are going to be things, just graphical fidelity things, as well as raw performance on some of these third-party games. Exclusives are outrageously important. Don't get it twisted. But most of the games you play throughout the year are third-party. And as soon as these third parties start coming out, you'd have to purposely tie your hand behind your back and blindfold yourself as a developer probably to not make a game look better on 12 teraflops versus 9.2. There's just going to be a difference. There's going to be a gap there. And, you know, one after another, just like it is with the Xbox One X and the PS4, minus 5% of the games that might come out third party, they're all going to look and play better on this newer system. And it's going to start showing that narrative. If it really is just 9.2 teraflops, that's still great. I mean, that's still, I think, the equivalent of like a 2070 super graphics card, which is still expensive. Great graphics card. So games are still going to look great. Don't get me wrong. But you can't deny that there is going to be a difference. That's all there is to it.
I gotta agree with Fonz though. You know, Fonz, he's been saying this for a long time, and I've known Fonz for a long time. He's in the chat right now. He says it's gonna matter to a degree, but it's the games that matter the most.
Yeah,
and
games gonna matter at the end.
And
of the
answer
day.
Tempest though, Tempest, you have to understand something again. And you're coming in late, but you've podcasted before. This is a generation where a lot of people that own PS4s are going to naturally just gravitate to the PS5. That already gives them the incumbent. That gives them already the install base. And when you have games like Rage 2, and there was a few others that came out recently where they didn't take advantage of the Power Crown because they made it parity, because they had to go with the larger install base. They catered to that brand. And the other point that I'd have to counter is I have a very powerful PC sitting right next to me. And I'm the complete opposite. I'll sometimes play the console version because I'd rather sit on the couch.
Right. Exactly.
That's it. Well, listen, I know you don't like to hear that, Enrique. But like, I would rather just because
the master race has spoken.
Well, you know,
Come on, man.
You work all day at a PC, and sometimes, you know, you're just like, I want to get home and you just want to lounge. So I'll do the opposite, and I'll enjoy that game that is a lesser degree, okay, which a lot of the games on PC are playing at 60 frames or better. I elect to play it at 30 frames on my couch. And that's a me problem. I'm not saying that's what people are doing, but you do have to realize that when you say the power is a difference maker, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not. I really am not. But the problem is it's not the fans making the games. It's not the fans that make these decisions. And it's the same thing I said to Shady with the price. You know, Microsoft should take a hit. Well, that's us. We're not spending the money. Of course, we want them to take a hit.
Listen, they're not gonna have to. They're not gonna have to take a hit. They can release it at $500 to $600. Yeah. Listen, Sony and Microsoft both are probably going to take a little bit of a hit. They really don't make money, and if they do make any money, it's not enough for them to be like, oh, we got to push as many consoles as possible. That's not their MO. They're going to want to push software and things of that nature.
It's software, it's subscriptions, it's Xbox Live, it's Game Pass.
And listen, I'm mentioning third parties in this equation, but you can't, when you think of Sony's great first party, which is absolutely there, they've had these developers that they've had for a while. They've been able to get used to the ecosystem, making games for Sony. They've been around for a while. They're not new developers. Microsoft has some newer developers under their wing now, but they also have some games. Don't forget how fantastic Forza Horizon 3 and 4 looked on a base Xbox One S. I mean, they made that thing look phenomenal. I've seen it. I mean, I have the Xbox One X version, but it looked phenomenal. Now, listen, you have a game that looks almost as good as any PlayStation first-party game, and that's Gears 5. But here's the kicker. It looks just as good, and it's 60 frames per second. They're wizards at the Coalition. Now, you take a look at what some of these developers have done. Look at the 20-man team that made Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. A picture what these developers are going to do on 12 teraflops. Now, I'm sorry, but if you take extremely good developers versus extremely good developers, I'm pretty sure those developers are going to be able to strut their creative vision more on a 12 teraflop machine versus a 9.2.
Well, and nothing sells games faster than gorgeous graphics in a trailer and screenshots. So I don't expect these third parties to go with any type of like, we'll just go with parity. They're going to make their game look as insane as they can and then show it off on the system that shows it best. So Microsoft might even just get by default marketing deals because their games can potentially look so much better on Microsoft's platform.
It started happening. It started happening.
In the car commercial, right? They showed the best model, and then in small text is with ground package and 20-inch rims and not included in the base, right?
To your point, Shady, it's already happened. Listen, the big rumor going around was that Devil May Cry 5 was going to be a Sony exclusive. E3 rolls around, and guess who shows up on stage? And guess who has the marketing rights? And their reason was because we want to show our game in the best light possible.
Yeah. Like power matters to the enthusiast. Could you imagine telling like a sports car enthusiast power doesn't matter because your Prius can get you from point A to B also? He will laugh you out to be like, yeah, great. It's not about getting from point A to B. It's not about just playing the game in general. It's about playing it maxed out settings,
but I guess
melting your face off. And there is a big audience that enjoys that.
My question for Tempest then, and it's a legitimate question, is if power does that and it does swing everything, and if the enthusiast cares so much about it, why did the Xbox One X not sell as good as the other two consoles?
It sold a lot, and it killed that power narrative. It really did sell.
It killed the power narrative, but it's been beaten and lapped by the Switch.
Because it's so late in the game, we've all got our consoles.
I'm not sure if it beat the PS4 on any of the NPDs at all.
I don't think the PS4 Pro sold that well either. If I know anything, I know.
I'm talking about Xbox in general, and the X is just in there. I'm just saying that should have put it over the top, right? That should have been the popcorn that poured out.
Hold on. Okay, at the beginning of the generation, these two companies went into the beginning. One of them didn't even want to be in gaming, saw it as a pointless endeavor. They made every mistake. They made up new mistakes. They changed the rule book, and they completely threw out everything you should do and put everything wrong you shouldn't do in there, and that's the rule book that they went by. They screwed up more than Sony succeeded. That's my opinion on it. They couldn't have came out the gate any worse than what they did. So now you have a company that is building so much good faith. They have been coming to every show possible. They came out with the XO. They just released what the console looks like on the Game Awards. The conversation right now is Xbox. Meanwhile, Sony, I don't know what they're doing. I couldn't tell you because they're not doing anything.
Well, you don't really know. Well, that's not
well, we don't know
fair.
what they're doing behind the scenes. Actually, they just tweeted out that they're going to be at CES next week. So
well, they're probably coming out with like a big ass TV.
They've always done a February release. They did it the last time. They would do it this time if there was nothing at the CES. But I mean, that's fine. That's speculating. But I'm saying, like, in essence, I'm with you on what you said. Yes, Xbox, they fumbled out of the gate. We've all said that for years. I agree with you. But then they've done all this goodwill. They've done this. They as Shady said, they killed the power narrative. They took that over, and yet they still haven't been able to rope gamers over. And that really comes down to one thing: the games. Okay, and they haven't put in. Listen, everyone, listen. You can go ahead and jump right to the 15 studios, and I'm going to go with you there. But my point being is that we haven't seen what those studios are going to show yet, right? We don't know. I mean, Hellblade, we saw like a cutscene, great. But like my point being is like that doesn't tell me, and it's Hellblade. If you loved Hellblade, here's my other thing. If you loved Hellblade, which I did, I'm going to love Hellblade too. But I know a lot of people that didn't like it, so they're going to be like, it's a beautiful game that I don't want to play.
Listen,
so, that's the other thing. So we don't know what else is coming, Tempest.
Here's a nukology for you. Buying a new console that's nearly double the price of the first one. It's like going to the strip club and then spending that extra money for one who has a different shade of lipstick and maybe one extra boob size. Most people won't go for it. That's what I'm saying.
No, chills.
Double D's, baby.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Real quick, what I'd like to do is, because like I said, we are 118 into this topic, and I knew we were going to be here for a while. I have to thank a couple of people. First of all, I have to thank Philly Eagle with the $5 super chat. He actually drops some pretty good information. I did not know this. This must have just broke. Digital Foundry also got caught presenting other people's work. So I don't know when that exactly happened. I hope that didn't happen recently, because that sucks for them. Sir X-Men with the additional $5 super chat, $2 super chat. He says, remember Sega Genesis, now you're playing with Power. Darth Mayhem with the outstanding $2 super chat. He says, in 2020, the Series X will outplay most PCs on STM. Listen, you know what? I mean, listen, PCs are always going to be, the master race because you can constantly upgrade them. But the difference with home consoles is you can do tweaking that you can't do on a PC because it's a closed box. And I think we're all going to be in for a treat. But I kind of want to just slow it down and kind of bring back the fun because the chat has been.
Who's not having fun?
Well, I mean, we're all having fun, but. Obviously this is the end of the year, right? And obviously I think everyone that has a channel is going to be doing some sort of a top 10 of theirs. So I didn't want to do a top 10 because we do have a lot of people on the panel. So what I did is I have a 2-tier topic. First of all, the first part of the topic, and again, this is meant to be fun. I want to get the chat involved. We have almost 400 people watching. So thank you so much for that. That is tremendous. And I want to get everyone's top 5 games for 2019. Yeah, sorry, as the police come by to arrest me for making too much noise. Thankfully,
the show's
Mooch is
straight
not
fire.
sitting-
They got to put it out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's something. Listen, I'm gonna actually throw my 5 out there. I'm not gonna give a breakdown of why, and they're in no particular order. For me personally, these are my top 5 games of 2019. Resident Evil 2 remake. I know Mooch is going to be talking about that.
Yes, sir.
Gears 5, The Outer Worlds, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and believe it or not, Crackdown 3 makes my top 5 list because, quite frankly, even if you hated Crackdown, I absolutely loved it and put a shit ton of time into the single player. But I want to go to Mooch first, one of our special guests. Mooch, what were your top 5 games for 2019?
So, I mean, as I'm writing them down here, because I didn't do my homework. Sorry about that, Boom. But I do have I do have my top 5. Resident Evil, naturally, right? I mean, again, you throw a zombie game out there, I gotta play it. I don't know if I was saying that on the air. I said that before. Like, I think it was Enrique who was telling me he's enjoying Days Gone. I thoroughly enjoyed Days Gone. So I have to say RE2, Days Gone. Is another one. I couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down. I came home every night. I just kept playing and playing and playing and playing. And I enjoyed it. I even played a little bit of the DLC. Another one that kind of takes people by surprise is I really liked Sekiro. And I'm playing it again on PC.
Yeah, but you like those games, dude. That's right in your wheelhouse.
I do. And you know what I like about a lot of people, and it's fun discussion because a lot of people really don't like the Souls series. And I'm not here to sell you on Souls because if you don't like the Souls series or From Software's work, that's fine. I get it. But a lot's changed in gaming since we were all younger, Boom, and everybody on this panel that can kind of agree with me that's been gaming as long as we have, is that, back in the day when you turned a game on, you had 3 lives. Okay? 3! And then you had to start over again
Ghost
from
of
the
Goblins.
beginning, right?
Oh, God.
And
that's
Ghost of Goblins, my God, the hair in the back of your neck stands up. And I got to be honest with you, like nowadays, I feel like games, as long as you have what we'll call the endurance, okay? As long as you have that stamina, you'll finish the game.
Yeah.
Right? But with Souls, they make you go back. They don't give you lives. Not many games give you lives. Some of the Nintendo games still do that, but they give you they don't give you lives. You have to go back and earn it, Boom.
Yes.
So there's what people call difficult. I don't call difficult with From Software games. I really don't think they're difficult. I think the game makes you learn. They make you learn how to fight the individual, how to make the twists and turns, how to make the certain platform jump. And you've got to do it by trials and tribulation. And that's something that's missing in a lot of games. And I encourage people all the time. I don't care. There's like Dark Souls is out there for sale right now. It's always dirt cheap. I think Dark Souls 3, I know on the PC it's $14.99. It's been for sale for $15 on the Xbox as well. Pick it up, guys. Try it out. And it's not the idea that you're going to love it. Like you're going to go home like, Mooch is right. I love it. I'm not saying you're going to love it. But you're going to, if you're old school, you'll kind of go, this is that trials and tribulations I had to do back in the day, even with as far back as Simon Belmont and going back to the old Castlevania games. Okay. Another game that was big for me this year, Boom. I might go 6 on you. I apologize.
That's okay.
This is a big one for me, was Control. And
I'm waiting for it. It's one of the games I bought in the sale. I really
listen,
want to play it.
I got to tell you, devote the time to it, Boom, because what it does is it takes the essence, if you enjoyed what was Quantum Break, and it elaborates it to the nines. It really does. It takes it to the next level. It really enhances the gunplay, the powers. Everything is it's more fast motion. And it's got a little bit of a puzzle. And of course, it has that natural remedy. What the hell is going on here aspect to it, right? So that's always great. And, this is one that you guys probably wouldn't expect me to say. But I got to say, I've enjoyed my Switch this year. I really have, for the first time in a long time. I went and got that, I don't know if it's called Scythe or what it is, where you actually slide it in and it has like the Xbox controllers on the side of it, and you can actually enjoy the Switch as a console.
Oh, yeah, my Mrs. Boomstick got me that for Christmas. It's amazing.
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer,
right? It really is. So the point of the matter is that I got to tell you, Luigi's Mansion 3. Okay. Look, if you liked anything that you've ever liked that Nintendo puts out, this game is it's a family must play. And if you're just an old school gamer, it's a must pick up. It is. It really is. And then I guess I'll give my honorable mention. My honorable mention would go to Gears 5. I liked Gears 5. I didn't love it. I felt, what they did in 2.5 years at the Coalition, I tip my cap and say, wow, nice work, guys. Great work. Would have rather if they took more time and made it a little bit more like, I put a lot of hours into Gears 4 multiplayer, a lot of hours, and I really enjoyed it. And I just felt like Gears 5 multiplayer was just Gears 4 multiplayer again. I know they tweaked this, they added a gun, I get it. But it just felt like the same thing, and I really couldn't get engulfed into it all over again. But my honorable mention goes to Gears 5 because I truly love the Gears franchise. So I hope you don't mind. I threw an extra one in there.
No, that's very, very strong list.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, Shady, I'm going to go to you next, dude. What were your top 5? I'm going to throw some Gears photos. This is gorgeous right here. I found this screenshot. This is gorgeous. What were your top 5 games? Now, they don't necessarily have to be from this year, because I know sometimes we have backlogs. We're going to come back around to everybody, because the second part of topic number 2 is, of course, the dreaded backlog. And what are your 5 biggest titles on there? But we'll continue on. Shady, what were your top 5 games for 2019?
Oh my God, Boom. Being a multiplayer gamer that is also addicted to looters, it has been difficult for me to find the time to play everything that came out this year. And I got to say, this year was like the year of the single player game, man. There was a narrative going for a long time. The single player games are dead. No one's releasing them. This is why Sony is amazing, because they bring us the next to be extinct game. They're the only ones doing it. With third party brought the heat, damn it, this year. There was so many single player games, narrative driven single player games. They were falling out of the woodwork, man. Control, Devil May Cry, Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds, the indie game. There was a lot. Resident Evil. There's just so many. So I didn't play a lot of those single player games because I am crack addicted to absolutely destroying people online. I love it. It feels so good hitting the tops of those leaderboards at the end of the map. I love it. I meet a bunch of cool people, man. So that took up with just the absolute lion's share of my gaming this year. But my top 5, I'll start with the bottom 3, and these are in no order. And this isn't like the best games for me, okay? I'm aware of their issues, and this is beside the issues. These were the games I had the most fun with and played. Generally, I went back to more than a bunch of times, right? So the bottom ones I had Call of Duty. I love the multiplayer. I think the campaign is great. I haven't beat it yet, but it is visceral. The graphics are absolutely gorgeous. I love the sound of the game. The guns feel punchy. The rag dolls are fantastic. When I'm getting kills online and watching the dead guy flop around like a spent dills, I love it, man. It feels great. I dig it. It's fast. It's furious. It is certainly Call of Duty. So if you don't like Call of Duty, so be it. I do. I play multiplayer in it a lot. I like the campaign. I'm looking forward to getting into the Spec Ops when my close friends are ready to join me for some co-op. But yeah, so that's on the list. I got Resident Evil 2. I also didn't beat it. I know some people are like, you're not allowed to have a game of the year if you haven't beat it. I disagree with that. I had insane fun with it. Insane fun. I loved what they did with the engine. I think that game has set the standard on how to do a remake. I'm not talking a remaster here, a remake.
Remake from the ground up.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, man. I love it. I'd love to see some older IP come back in a very similar fashion, which just crank everything up to modern standards and tell the story that we all loved 20 odd years ago again. Wicked. So that's on my list. I've got Crackdown 3 is also on my list as well. Cue the booze in the chat for everyone, all the haters out there. But I loved it, man. Crackdown is big for me and my friends. I dug the campaign. I thought it was beautiful. I think that they vastly expanded the mobility in this game. Being able to double dash like you can, double jump and stuff like that was game-changing for that game. It is still very much Crackdown. So again, if you're not a Crackdown fan, you're going to hate this game. And because of the multiplayer, go figure, my God. The multiplayer in Crackdown, even though it was basically not even close to what was presented leading up to it, it still had a lot of impressive destruction going on. There was huge buildings come down if you shot them down. And my God, if I wasn't taking names in that, I got all the achievements in the mode. I destroyed people. I loved it. It's deeper than most people think. So I got a good kick out of that multiplayer mode in Crackdown. And then now for my top two. And these were my big actual top two. Gears 5 is my number 2. All of its microtransactions aside, which I think are horrendous, absolutely horrendous. You cannot earn enough in-game currency to get anything. You can't. And they have daily cosmetics, weekly cosmetics that constantly change over, and you cannot earn those. You can't at all. At least in Gears 4, even though it was loot box driven, I could earn in-game currency and try my luck at the loot boxes without actually having to open my wallet, because I'm not paying for cosmetics. And I love cosmetics. So that aside, I love it, man. I play a lot of Horde. I play a lot of escape mode. I really, really, really like the escape mode. I do enjoy the multiplayer. I tend to play the arcade mode. I hate Nasher matches. And it's not because I suck ass at using the Nasher. I just don't like it when everyone in the match is only using a shotgun. So I like the arcade mode. You get to have different weapons coming up. The power weapons pop up a lot. It just adds an element of randomness that I really like. I've been enjoying the free-for-all mode, although that is a Nasher fest. But I like that as well. So Gears is certainly on there. And I've only played the first act of the campaign in Gears 5. So I still have the campaign to go through with my buddies once they're ready to do it. And I'm looking forward to that. I've heard it's great. So Gears is my number 2. Number 1.
I know what it is, but keep getting
anyone that watches me on Xbox Live or I'm on the friends list and they see me, they're going to know what it is as well. I looked up how many hours I've sunk into this bad boy over the last year. Over 900.
Yikes.
And it is Anthem.
Yeah.
This was such a hyped game for me, and it let me down. It did. It didn't deliver on what I really, really, truly wanted. It was buggy at the launch. The load times were horrendous. You were too tethered to your buddies. The loot drops weren't so good. They fixed a lot of that. It loads faster. You don't have to go back to base in between missions anymore. You're no longer tethered by like 10, 15 feet to your buddies. There's a whole pile of new weapons, 8 new weapons or 9 new weapons, which were a lot of fun to use. I've had an amazing time in the Cataclysm events that they've had going. It's been just the Cataclysm, the Halloween event, which was also a Cataclysm, and then the one that's going on right now for the next like 36 days, which is the Ice Tide event. There's tons of challenges, collectibles, things to go out and search for. They're giving away a lot of cosmetics. That was when the cosmetic game blew up, and that's why I play. I am addicted to peacocking around Anthem, man. I love it, and they've dropped so many wraps and skins for me. I've got dozens of pieces of armor that I mix and match in between every mission that I go on. I'm crack addicted to it. So I play it every day for like anywhere from an hour to 3 hours a day, enough to do my dailies, maybe help out a friend or two. I've had great interactions online. I've actually had a couple agents of the Sesh Empire out of nowhere be in my game, and they send me an invite and they don't know that it's actually me. And they're blown away when I jump in like, hey, what's going down, guys? Oh my God, it's so, and it just felt so cool. We had an amazing time together, talked for hours, came together. So it's Anthem, undeniably my number 1 most fun, most returned to game this year. I look forward to whatever they bring out with this big update with the game. Like, it does need more. It really, truly does. It's light on content, but I came into the game not looking for it to take over my life. Little did I know it was going to anyways. It was the Destiny killer for Shady anyways. So but that's my top 5, man.
That's a great list. Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, aka Enrique, aka the PC Master Race Man. What are your top 5 games for 2019?
Dude, I think it's hilarious on the PC Master Race guy.
Well, I mean, listen, come on. You have to admit you kind of flaunt that on the interwebs.
I have fun with it now. You know, I got to blame Mooch. Mooch is the one that turned me on to PC gaming, believe it or not.
Hey, well, how the hell did I get involved with this?
Because remember, you were like, "Oh, I got a 2080 Ti. We thought about building a PC, yada yada yada."
It's nice that, listen, Misery loves company. Come on over, right? It's fantastic. No, you got PC it's a different experience. I got to tell you, coming from console gaming my entire life, it is different, Enrique. You know, and I'll tell you, I may have provoked him to go there, but Enrique's the one that's always like, "Come on in the pool, guys. The water's warm."
Yeah.
So, I'll be honest with you, man. It's awesome, man. It is a different experience. It's cool.
No, definitely no. But you know, I think for me, my top 5, and I'm going to rank. You know what? I'm going to rank them in order. I would say, I know this might not be a popular pick, but I'm going to go with Death Stranding.
Oh, dude, listen, if you enjoyed the game, who's going to tell you otherwise?
Yeah,
that's not fair to say. If you thoroughly enjoyed it, good on you.
Yeah, you know, and you know, for me, Boom, it was one of those games. Like, I think at the end of a console generation, we played so many games. There's so many games that, while I find good, just don't really surprise me anymore.
Very good game.
You know, because we got to a point where so many games have maybe borrowed certain aspects, and not that Death Stranding doesn't borrow aspects from other games. I mean, there's certainly some Souls influence there, but it was just such a unique experience. It was, look, I came in there kind of like, I don't know, this is like the FedEx simulator. I'm not sure if I want to be carrying packages. And then when I fired it up, I was like, oh, this is different. Immediately, the first cutscene, the music kicked in. It was just, I was like, okay, this is going to be a different experience. And it was, to me, it lived up to to the kind of game that I think you would get from Hideo Kojima.
Okay.
And I just enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was different for me. I think that's the big thing. It was different, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't like anything I've experienced this console generation. And I won't go into too much detail because it leads to spoilers, but that's my number 1. Okay. Number 2, I would go with Sekiro, or Sakuro, as Gaming Forte calls it. But Sekiro, I mean, wow, what a, you know, it reminds me of, and I think Mooch said this earlier, you know, kind of the old Ghost and Goblins games.
Yes.
The games that were very hard and challenging, but yet so rewarding. And there's so many memorable boss battles, and each boss was so unique. And then the ending, there's multiple endings in the game. It was one of those games. Yes, there was times I wanted to throw the controller through the window. There's time my wife was like, "Why are you so angry? Gaming's supposed to be fun." I'm like, "You don't understand. You're not playing this game."
That's great.
You're like, "I am having a good time."
No, I tell you. My wife's not a gamer. She looked at me side-eyed. She's like, "You're crazy. There's something really supposed to be fun."
There's something wrong with you. I love it. That's great.
And I'm like,
sometimes the most fun comes after the most moments of frustration, though, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's where that sense of like reward, when you finally beat that boss has been kicking your ass for like an hour, you're like, "Oh my God." It was
that
well
happened
worth
to
it.
me when I played a nearly beat Neo for the PlayStation 4. I love that guy. I'm looking forward to the second one. But yeah, you know what? I have Sekiro. I bought the collector's edition. No surprise there. I really got to get into that game. That's one of those games that's on the back list. That's just, I got to get to it.
Yeah, it's a great, and you know, it's interesting. I was kind of surprised by the story. I actually got into the story, and the voice acting is phenomenal. Either whether you play with the Japanese voiceovers or in English, they're both phenomenal. And I was actually really surprised by that. But my third game of the year would be Resident Evil 2. I mean, wow. I mean, what a
return for Capcom, huh?
I mean, what a return from Capcom. I mean, they have been they're like my comeback player of the year this console generation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and this game, I mean, having played the original, 20 something years ago, and then playing this now, I mean, I was like, wow. And they made it accessible too. They got rid of the tank controls. And they did something I didn't think they were going to be able to do. And I'm looking forward to the next Resident Evil 3 remake. And then after that, I will say Fire Emblem. Three houses.
Oh, dude,
I mean,
yeah, the three houses. I heard that's what many people like Slow Mo. I think it's his game of the year.
yeah, it is. Slow-Mo's like he's on his like fourth playthrough. I think Luca's on her
Wow.
third playthrough. Now I only did one playthrough. I'm not doing 2, 3, or 4. That's just I don't have time for that. But it's one of those games that I really enjoy the story, great gameplay, just a fun overall game. Maybe at some point I'll go back because I may want to play it as one of the other houses that I didn't use, but that would be number 4 for me. And then I'm gonna go with Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
That's a good one, dude. That's a great pick, dude.
I mean, what a love letter to Castlevania.
Absolutely.
I mean,
we weren't sure how that was going to turn out because it was delayed so many times.
I know.
I jumped in on the ground floor. I was a Kickstarter backer on that one.
Nice.
I'm sorry I didn't do the maximum package. You got a cartridge. Oh man, what a game! Great pick, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the music, the gameplay. I mean, it was like I was playing Castlevania all over again on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I loved every minute of it. It was, I was a little nervous, at first, but the game turned out well, and I just, like I said, I mean, it was just such a love letter to Castlevania. I'm so happy, and it's actually on Game Pass right now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. If you haven't tried it out, if you have Game Pass, you haven't tried it, I would highly recommend you trying that game out if you like those Metroidvania type games. So that's my top 5 for 2019, man.
Nice. That's a great pick. Nuke, I'm going to go to you, but real quick before I do, LMNOPO drops a $5 super chat. He says, speaking of top games this year, this is one for Mooch. Arthur! And I think he's talking about Red Dead Redemption, probably for, of course, the PC, which just released. But Nukem, you play a lot of games. You own multiple consoles. What were your top 5 picks for 2019?
Well, neither one happens to be on the Switch, that's for sure.
Oh.
All right. So my top 5, counting down from reverse order. At number 5 was a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. Was Rage 2, baby.
Great pick, dude.
So good.
That's a great pick.
It was Doom meets Mad Max. It was fun. It was a little bit open world, but I just got lost in it. And very rarely do I get an open world game where it kind of it absorbs me, and I love that one. At number 4, it was Days Gone, perhaps one of the most criticized and underrated games of this year. I really enjoyed it. It looked phenomenal. Great characters. The graphics you'd expect out of Sony's first-party studios. It was pretty awesome. It had some great vibes to it. I still have to beat it, but I am saying I enjoyed it, and it did
great.
It did impress me. It was great. At number 3, this game I wasn't having high hopes for it because we've seen a bunch of sort of ho-hum games in this franchise or this series per se. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Respawn comes through with perhaps one of the best, I think, Jedi style games in a very long time. graphics look good, story's pretty banging. I'm digging it. Love that game. At number 2, and I thought this would be my number 1, but it drops to number 2, is Gears 5. I loved every ounce of Gears 5 as a return to form for the franchise. In my opinion, I loved it. Kudos to Rod and the Coalition. The multiplayer was dope. The graphics are freaking amazing. They look stellar on the X1X. I just love the game. Like I said, it's co-op. It's got multiplayer options of the yin yang. It is the maximum bang for the buck, and I don't know if there's any other game this year that gives you so much content for so little as Gears 5, despite like I said, some gripes here and there. And at number 1, a return to form. Never thought I'd pick one of these games in a long time. Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
There you go.
Fucking campaign was lit. Pardon me.
It was amazing.
It was lit. I loved going through the house, that mission there where the guys are holding the lady.
Oh, dude, that was a great.
Oh my god, that was so intense.
The variety, the graphics. Finally, they overhauled the engine. It looks stellar. The multiplayer I'm having a blast with. I mean, me and the boys, we jumped in a private match the other night and absolutely had a humdinger. It was amazing. We're having fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. As a return to form, they kind of got rid of a lot of the junk that was bogging down the series, went back to a lot of the principles that make it work. Some realism in there, but of course it's still Call of Duty at heart. It plays like Call of Duty without people jumping all over Tarnation and all this stuff. So I love Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I just want to say games I didn't get around to but wanted to this year that I know were high.
Wait, don't do that. We're gonna come back around to you. Yeah, we're gonna come back around to you on that particular topic because that's actually going to be the second part of this topic. The dreaded backlog that we're all ashamed of.
That
Uh,
house level in
would you
COD
like
was
to
the
hear at
best
least
with
my
the
one
terrorist
game of
baby holding his
generation?
mom hostage.
My
What was
game of
that?
the generation in the last 10 years, guys. I know we're not really talking was mostly this year, but I did want to put this one out. And this is always a tough call because 10 years is a long time and a lot of great games come down. But no game impressed me as much as Rise of the Tomb Raider. And I'm so disappointed when I hear people say they've never played the new Tomb Raider franchise.
so
They haven't
good.
tried it.
Shame.
Shame on you. A fantastic series. All three of them are fantastic. But number 2 was just blew my mind in every way. I love the graphics, love the story. That would be my game of the generation. Nothing is in that ballpark for me. Rise of the Tomb Raider was beast.
Yeah, not bad. And Tempest Sun, why don't you close out the first half of this topic and give us your top 5 games for 2019?
I love these kind of topics. So I couldn't fit them on the top 5, and I won't even talk about them, but just honorable mentions, Ace Combat 7 and Apex Legends.
Oh, yes.
A lot of fun, both of those games. Fantastic, especially Ace Combat 7. I mean, I go way, way, way back with that series, and it was awesome. But without getting into it, excuse me, my in 5th place, I have Black Desert Online, and I couldn't have a top 5 without putting Black Desert on there. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I played that game for like 6 months straight, and there's a lot of good times, a lot of frustrating times, but a lot of really, really good times too. Playing that game, it keeps getting updated. I fell out of it, so it's going to be hard to get back into it, but eventually I will. And it's just good. It probably had no right running as well as it did on console, and it was a good port. Yeah, they had a lot of updates, a lot of quick updates, and if it sinks your claws into you or its teeth into you, it doesn't let go. It's really dang good. Number 4 for me is Gears 5. The second act of that game in particular, especially near the end, it's just an info dump. I'm not going to go into it. Don't want to spoil anything, but I think that game retroactively made Gears 3 better. It made the ending of Gears 3 make more sense. I love that game. I love the characters. Dell was fantastic. Kate Diaz is amazing. There's some choices. There is a particular choice in there that blew my socks off in that game. I don't even know where they're going to go from there, but everything about that game, the graphics, like I said earlier, some of the best graphics I've ever seen in my life on PC or console, but on console, they managed to squeak out 60 frames a second. That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute, not for this generation. Number 3, this one, might not have saw this one coming, but Age of Empires 2 Definitive. I can't tell you how much I love this game. It made one of the best games, in my opinion, ever made, and just made it better. It is an RTS. It's one of the best ones, probably the best one I think has ever been made. The definitive edition just took the graphics and a whole bunch of other stuff and just elevated the game and added new civilizations to play as. It made one of the best games ever just better. And I think that's a hard thing to do, to be honest with you. It's balanced very well. Some of the imbalances they've actually patched. So they're actually patching the game, even though it's a game from 1999. It's got a new shiny coat of paint on it, but they're still balancing it, still doing their thing. I just really hope it eventually, it's never going to come to Xbox, not this one, but Age of Empires 4 was announced. And if you're excited for that at all, I mean, come on, guys, almost any PC can run it, and it's Age of Empires 2. You can get it on Game Pass on PC, which is like free practically. So just if you're interested in it, just do yourself a favor and play it. It's awesome. Number 2, I got Monster Hunter Iceborne. While it's not a mainline release, it is an expansion, but isn't it? It's an expansion that it costs $40, and it added pretty much double the content of the original game. They added so many neat little things in that game. They enhanced the gameplay overall greatly through many new mechanics. They brought back some of my favorite. I'm a longtime Monster Hunter player, and the original from last year was missing some of like key monsters that I love. You actually learn to love these monsters. You learn their names. You learn their fight patterns throughout all the games. You know what the armor looks like. So the monsters are a big deal, and they brought back some of my favorites, and seeing them in this newer engine was just phenomenal. It was such a treat. That game just keeps on giving. They're updating it still. They just added a huge red dragon that is like amazing. Just if it's a visual feast if you play it. It's awesome. It's like, again, it's not for everybody, but if you're any interested in it, you can play the original through Game Pass. Give it a whirl, and if you like it, they added this Iceborne expansion, and it is huge. And my number one, no surprise, but it had to be Resident Evil 2. Yeah. I haven't sat down and played a game like this that I couldn't stop playing it until I didn't beat it once, not twice, but I'm on my 7th playthrough. I'm on part
nice,
B,
dude. Wow, you even invoked me. I'm on my 5th.
Yeah, so it's too much fun. It's so well crafted. I think it's borderline a perfect game. The only complaint I have is some of the gun sounds are a little weak. And if that's the only complaint you have, I mean, okay, my only real complaint is that it ended. I mean, shame on it, you know? So, but yeah, absolutely my top one spot. And even with all the stuff coming out, if Resident Evil 3 Remake is as good as Resident Evil 2 Remake, I don't care what comes out next year. RE3 might be my game of the year next year too.
And I'm right there with you. I've already said that it has an early dig. It's going to be more action oriented. They changed a bit of the story, so for people who've never played it, it's a new adventure. And for people like you and me and Mooch who've loved it all those years ago, we're going to get a new some new story elements being added, which I'm very excited. That was a very strong list. So that was all of our top fives. Now, obviously, when you support multiple consoles, you have something called the dreaded backlog. And unfortunately, we only have 2 pairs of hands, 2 sets of eyes. Well, 1 set of eyes. If you have 2 sets of eyes, you're an alien. That's cool. Everyone's welcome here. But we do have something called a backlog, and unfortunately, it just keeps growing. And for me personally, the top 5 games that are on this backlog that I have not played, it's a shame. It's literally a shame. And there's no particular order. First of all, A Plague's Tale, which I just got, and I've heard so many good things about this game, especially because I really enjoy Sony's first party titles. So I think I've been told I'm going to really enjoy this. Mortal Kombat 11. I bought the collector's edition, did an unboxing, never played the game. Disgraceful. Borderlands 3. Oh my God, I should hang my head in shame. Control is something else that I have not played. I bought it. I have not played it. And for me, because I'm an old school fighter fan, Soul Calibur 6, brand new in the package. Haven't opened it. I am going to get to it eventually. Obviously, with The Witcher being on Netflix, it gave me the flavor to want to play this because he's obviously on the cover and in the game. Mooch, I'll go to you. What are your top 5 dreaded picks for your backlog for 2019?
Well, so backlog. We have a few in common. I'll repeat the ones. They're not in any particular order, but if I just could freeze time and get into this, I got to be right. I would say A Plague Tale: Innocence is something that I started, and I don't even have a good answer for you why I stopped. I just picked up a different game and didn't go back to it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've been told from everybody in the community that it's a must play. So I have the game. I got to go back and play it. Borderlands 3 is also on my list because I'm a huge Borderlands fan. I beat Borderlands 2 throughout its existence, from its infancy to I just played it over and over and over again. I love Borderlands 2. So Borderlands 3 was very good. It didn't disappoint. It was just more. It felt like it was more Borderlands 2. Didn't think they did anything wild. The worlds are bigger. It's more free roam. I get that, but it still felt at home for any Borderlands fan to just pick it up, and you felt like you never miss a step. But I have to go back and finish that. I'm at best 20%, 25%. I got to get back into that. Another shocker that I don't think you'd hear me say is Code Vein.
I'm a little shocked by that because it plays very much like Demon Souls and Dark Souls, right?
Right. Well, and that's the thing. That's why I like it. But I haven't gotten to it yet. I haven't even turned that on. And shout out to Gaming Forte for the awesome hookup.
It's good, Mooch. It's
right?
good. Yep,
yeah, I'm totally looking forward to it, Tempest. So just to hear you say that encourages me to maybe move that to the forefront.
Yeah.
One here that the entire panel is just gonna drop their mics for is I've only played about 2 hours of it, and I want to play it, but I want to dedicate a solid week to just playing it and beating it is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Holy matrimony!
Yeah, I haven't. Here's the thing. Here's the reason, and I didn't really get into it in the top 5. Is I've played so much Death Stranding. I'm almost 75 hours. I'm 75 hours, and Enrique, you could do the calculation.
My brother had over 100.
But I'm only at chapter 6.
Jeez,
dude, you were doing like every mission.
I've done like 1,000 standard missions.
I'm just asking what he did in Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? So you can
Right?
understand what his play.
I didn't mind the backpacks.
The backpacks, the cloud.
I flew through every cloud, and I knew every pigeon by name. But nonetheless, I gotta say, those are my. I don't have 5 really. I'm just kind of going through and racking my mind. That would be it. And the only thing I could say is, even though it was in my top 5 games, I have yet to finish Sekiro. So that is also going to be one that I will finish. So that was it. So it'd be Star Wars Code Vein, Borderlands 3, A Plague's Tale, and Sekiro.
Okay.
Well, Mooch, when the apocalypse comes, you're welcome to be our FedEx man anytime, okay?
I appreciate that. You have no idea. I can carry a lot. Oh, man. No, it's a great, honestly, it's a tough game. I would never sell anybody on Death Stranding. It's a tough game to sell anybody on. But Enrique really nailed the one point he made there. When you turned it on, you either know it's for you or it's not. And I knew it was something different, and I don't understand the attraction. I was concerned I might not like it, but I honestly, on Sundays before football, now regular season's over, the schedule will be condensed on Sundays. I was putting in 3 to 6 hours of Death Stranding, a Sunday. And that's my real true time to be able to sit down and focus in game. So I'll tell you the truth, man. If you haven't tried it and you're on the fence, rent it, try to mooch it, do what you can, but definitely check it out. It's a good game. It's a game that I think everyone should at least experience and then say they liked it or didn't like it.
Okay, that's a strong list. So Shady, I want to go to you. Obviously you put a lot of time into, of course, Anthem and many of your multiplayer murder simulators that you have. What are your top 5 shameful games that you never got around to play in 2019?
Not a problem, man. Real quick, I wanted to give out 2 big indie game shout-outs that I thought were just spectacular. I played this year, which was Untitled Goose Game and Xeno Crisis. I just picked up Xeno Crisis like 2 days ago, and my buddy and I were out having a smoke 2 days before that, and we were saying, you know what we need is a new Super Smash TV game, old school Smash TV, and today's stuff.
I'll buy that for $1. That's a great game. Great game.
I'm watching our boy. Who was it? I think it was Ledbetter, maybe off of Digital Foundry. His top 10 of the year. And he's got Xeno Crisis on there. And sure enough, it is a Smash TV type title that is heavily pulling its aesthetic from like the Aliens movies. Yeah. It is hard as hell. It is incredible. Within 4 seconds of walking around, I knew I was going to love it because it feels incredible. If you love like twin sticks, so good. You can play with the sticks.
What's the name of the game?
Xeno Crisis. It actually came out around the same week as Call of Duty, and I didn't know. Just slipped under the radar. The picture in the store didn't instantly leap out at me, but sure enough, within the last 2 days, man, it was very close to making my actual top 5. My buddy and I have been ripping it up. It is fantastic for those guys that like that Smash TV, nostalgia type fix. But my backlog games that I want to get to the most, I left it to games that came out in 2019. Because let's be real, I've got over 700 games. My backlog is sickening. I need to start streaming it. I've got thousands of hours of content. I could just sit there and chew through my backlog and talk with people that are interested in doing so. But so I kept it to newer games, and it's got to be for me Outer Wilds, not Worlds, but Outer Wilds, which is an indie game. It's in Game Pass. I watched my brother play just a little bit of it. It is Skill Up on YouTube, who I enjoyed that man's content. It's his number 1. And he's just like, nothing comes close. Outer Wilds is a completely unique experience. The game tells you nothing. The timer restarts like every 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, whatever it is, it restarts on you and you have to start over again. And you got to go out into the solar system and solve all these weird puzzles and kind of put the narrative together and figure out just what the hell is going on. And from what I've gathered and been told, the feedback loop of that happening is bar none just amazing. So I need to go and try this game out. It's been on my hard drive since it hit Game Pass. I just haven't loaded it. So Outer Wilds, Control, Devil May Cry, Sekiro, Borderlands 3, Star Wars, Metro. I mean, the list just goes on and on. I've played all these games, but not enough for them to be a game of the year for me or anything like that. I've turned them on, I played a tiny bit, or I've watched a buddy play and taken the controller for a little bit to see how it feels, that type of deal. But man, the single player games, unfortunately for me, they got the back burner big time this year. So when the time comes, I've got some serious amount of single player gaming to do. I look forward to doing it. But man, I think my biggest backlog of all time that I need to go and just destroy, and this goes out of last year, but I need to say it, is Red Dead 2, man. Every second I see of it, no matter what, even if it's the filthy PlayStation Pro footage, I am blown away at what I'm looking at. It is the closest thing I think of to something that doesn't look like a video game anymore. The edges are so smooth, the animations are so clean, nothing's clipping. Like, I'm just beyond impressed with every bit of that game, and I just didn't give it its justice, man. So that's like my number one of all time in my backlog. But I know it's going to take me 300 hours to play it because the way I play games, minimum, man. So it scares me.
Well, listen, that's a very strong list. And Brap, Enrique from the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, what is your top 5 games that are on your backlog that you hang your head in shame?
Oh my God, man. That's tough, man, because my backlog is real, especially after this damn Steam sale. All right, so I would say, a couple games. Shenmue 3. I have that. I haven't even taken it out of the package yet. I am a big Yu Suzuki fan. Enjoyed the first Shenmue 1 and 2, and so 3 is definitely top of my list of games I need to get to. The Witcher DLC, which I have started, but it's definitely like, I'm playing other games while I'm trying to play that, so I don't know how that's going to work out. How much time I have gamer ADD, so we'll see how long I can stay focused on that game. I would say another game, Catherine Full Body for the PlayStation 4. God, what else? Geez, man. Days Gone, which actually I just started playing today. God, what else? I feel like I'm missing one. The last Tomb Raider game, Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Okay.
Yeah, so I need to get to that too. But there's definitely more. Oh, and Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds was fantastic.
Yeah,
my God, that was so freaking good.
I need to get to. There's just a lot of other stuff I picked up, like Batman Arkham Knight. I picked that up again on the cheap for like $4 on the Steam sale.
I heard you went to town on Steam sale, bro.
Yeah, man. But there's just so much, man. Like there's just so much. Oh, I got to get back to what's the game that came out on the Switch by Platinum?
Astral Chain.
Damn. Astral Chain, thank you. Yeah,
that's another one for me too. It's still in the wrapper, which is disgraceful. But
yeah, so there's more than 5 there, Boom, and I could list more. I could definitely go on.
Well, listen, that's a strong list, and obviously, again, there's not enough time in the day. The Nukem. I want to get your top 5 head hanging games of 2019 that you never got a chance to play.
Well, a couple of them I've dabbled with, and I'll try to keep this quick for you guys. I know people want to get out of here, but I need to pick up and play Control, A Plague's Tale. Those are 2 high ones I've seen.
Strong
videos,
picks.
look awesome. Man of Medan. I want to get into that.
Yes, that's another one, man.
Love the Until Dawn game, so I heard this one is not as good, but regardless, I want to play it. Zelda Link's Awakening. I
was
just
fantastic.
started that one, but I got to finish it. Love that game. That was a great remake as well, like right up there with Resident Evil 2 this year was awesome job. Astral Chain, phenomenal game. I just started that one, but I have to get back into it. Like I said, the list kind of goes on and on and on. It's insane. I just want to say my 2 biggest letdowns of this year had to be Anthem and Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And my biggest surprise is going to be Sekiro because honestly, I picked it up on sale, and these are the kind of games I usually avoid. But honestly, I'm having a blast playing it. I'm getting my ass literally handed to me. And if anybody watched my 90 minutes of futility last night on Mixer, it was pretty funny. But you know what? I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to beat that big old ogre dude that's guarding the gate. He's going down eventually, I'm telling you. But yeah, man, the backlogs are crazy for all of us, and owning more than one console makes it even worse. But it's been, you know what, it's been a phenomenal year for gaming. And as long as people are having fun, man, it doesn't matter what you bag. It's just go out there and have fun. Stick to your guns. What I find fun, like I say, one man's treasure is another man's trash, and vice versa. So just go out and have fun, guys, and all that. But that's my list.
Strong list, dude. Strong list. Great games on there too. And closing out the topic, and of course the evening, because it is closing in on the 10 o'clock hour. Tempest Son, what are your top 5 head-hanging moments that you didn't get a chance, or games you didn't get a chance to play in 2019?
Game of the year, according to Game Awards, Sekiro. Haven't played it at all. I don't own it, so I need to buy that one.
I think it's on sale for like $37 right now on Xbox.
I know. I need to get it. I really do. So I need to get that. I have played a little bit of it, but I haven't played much, and it is totally up my alley. Is Outer Worlds. I need to play that. I'm a fan of the Fallout series. I'm a fan of the Bethesda style of games.
Oh, you're gonna love it, dude.
Yeah,
you're gonna get stuck
Vegas
into it. You're not gonna play anything else.
Yeah, I know. So it's probably the problem is I want to play it, but like I know if I start, I'm not gonna want to stop. I don't know if I have time right now, but yeah, definitely Outer Worlds. Game that I played, but I need to beat, and I'm just pissed off at myself. I never actually beat it. Was Metro Exodus. I want to beat that game.
Strong game.
I got about halfway through, and I was engrossed in it, and then I can't remember, something else came out that just you know how that happens. So gosh, the other two, I do want to play Astral Chain. I love Platinum Games. It would be nice to own something for the Switch I want to play. Now that's a little unfair. I did want to play Fire Emblem Three Houses. That was a solid game. Yeah, it gets a little grindy in the halfway through. Just the battles become really long, but no, that was a good game. So yeah, Astral Chain would be nice. Have something for the Switch. The fifth one, gosh, man, I don't know. I generally play what I want to play. Do I feel like I'm missing out on anything? No, but I will say in my fifth category, just something that was just disappointing to me was Control. To be honest with you, excuse me, I enjoyed it, but I just enjoyed Quantum Break and Alan Wake and really all their other games so much more. It was just it killed it for me as I got it for Xbox. I should have got it for. That's one of those games you should. If you got a capable PC, get it for PC. That game had so many technical issues that it was maddening. The amount of times that it had stutter, even on the Xbox One X, and come to find out that it was even worse on the PlayStation 4 and the Pro. I was like, how is this worse on something else?
Well, I guess if you're true PC master race, that's the game that showcases ray tracing the best. The reflections on the floors and the mirrors and stuff. It makes it almost a different looking game completely.
Yeah. As fact, that's I think ACG had a video where he was like, what's the one game where you should play it on PC because it is so much better on PC? He said Control, and I'm right there with him, man. I wish I would have got it, but I'm not going to rebuy the game because just as a game,
it's been patched heavy. I've heard that it plays much better across all platforms.
Well, good.
So you got an X, so I would expect it to play really good on the X now.
Yeah, I should pick it up again, see if the patches helped anything. But yeah, so far, but it was a solid year in gaming just by going by all of our top 5. It was varied. Everybody has their own thing that they like, and that's why gaming is such a fun thing, man. My top 5 could look nothing like somebody else's, and it's all subjective, and just it's the funnest hobby there is. I'm sorry. So
well, listen, everyone had great lists, and everyone of both their top 5s, for games of 2019 and the ones that are on the back burner. This has been an amazing show. It was high-powered, high-octane. We had 420 people at maximum level watching the show live. That is big numbers for a very small show. I got to tell you, I cannot thank the community enough for coming out here and supporting Double Barrel Gaming. I am going to throw this out there. Obviously, Mooch, you'll agree with me. When you start a YouTube channel, in the beginning, it's a hobby, it's fun, but then there becomes a responsibility of bringing the content, good quality, thought-provoking content to the community that comes out to support you, and it becomes a job. So when something becomes a job, numbers become important. And I'm bringing up the numbers because something was brought across my when I was looking over the analytics for the channel, And obviously, I just broke 3,000 subs in just 2 years, which is a big deal for me personally. But one of the numbers that jumped out at me, kind of shocked me a little bit, is 39% of the people that watch this show are not subscribed. And when I read it, I actually had to read it a couple of times because I was like, how is that possible that you could tune in as much as people tune in and not be subscribed to the channel? I mean, it is 6+ hours of content weekly, every week without fail. Even when I'm sick, I'm podcasting. And there's 3 live shows, and they're all different, and they're all fun, and they're all thought-provoking. So if you are one of these 39% and you're enjoying the show, I don't normally ask for anything. I ask that you have a good time. If you like what you're hearing, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not, I encourage you to hit the thumbs down button and leave a comment. Even if it's one I don't agree with, I'll answer you. I answer everybody. But if you're not subscribed, and you are part of this 39%, which I'm trying to, that my goal for 2020 is to chop that down and to get people who tune in that enjoy the show to hit the subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. But let me get into the outros, and I'm going to start off with Mooch. First of all, Mooch, again, I say this every show, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. You are one of the main reasons why I'm personally in this position. You gave me an opportunity. You have become more than just a person I podcast with. I consider you family, and I enjoy working with you any chance I get. And, you have a lot going on. I know you did a poll the other day, which I answered. I think you need to do more live content. I think people need to, because the tape content is okay. The problem with the videos is it's just so much work behind the scenes that people don't understand. I mean, my small videos that are anywhere between 7 and 9 minutes, that's a 4-hour production.
Oh, yeah. It's quite a production.
You know what I'm saying? You're trying to get the sounds right. You're trying to get the pictures right. You're trying to get the video right. You're trying to get the music right and not get copyright blocked. And so it's a 4-hour affair for 13 minutes. I just like doing the live content, but I would like to see you do more live content. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, subscribe to your outstanding YouTube channel.
I truly appreciate that, Boom. And, honestly, we've had a great resurgence back on the channel. That's why I put that out there. I said, with time comes change. Everybody changes.
Yes.
They want to see different content. They want to see things. So I'm here to ask the people what they want to see. So I put that poll out and also said comment below. It's still going live for another full day because I want to do 2 days straight.
Nice.
And, everybody's been coming around. I will be doing more live content for sure. Please do, guys, go over to YouTube, The Mooch78. Hit the subscribe button. I'm doing a lot more on Twitch, and I actually took a break probably from Thanksgiving till right now. I wanted to wait and just recharge the batteries.
Yeah, you have to recharge.
Absolutely, but I'm going back to Twitch right after the new year and doing full installments of finishing whatever we start on there. We will finish the game throughout on there. So look forward to that. It's also the Mooch78 on Twitch. And yeah, I have a big show lined up for sometime in January. I'm working with some big YouTubers, see when they can come on. Definitely go over and check it out. And I think you'll be very interested to see who I got coming up. And if you didn't go over and check it out, I did interview Paul Tassi from Forbes.
I did see that. That was an excellent interview.
It was just a lot of fun. Me and him have been talking for a while behind the scenes, usually Destiny related or Walking Dead related. But we always DM and BS there. It's great stuff. Go check that interview out. And boom, thanks again. Great panel, great chat. And I look forward to returning to the show soon.
Oh, well, definitely. The invite is already in the mailbox. Don't forget to check it on your way out. Real quick, before I continue with the outros, Shin Sia drops a $5 super chat and says, GG. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your generosity, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this show. And of course, I want to go next to Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. My very good friend, my brother, someone I consider to be family, someone that I talk with on a regular basis, someone that I enjoy listening to because he is honest, even though we don't get along. We get along, we don't agree on everything, and that's perfectly fine. It's good to have different opinions, just like brothers do. Enrique, please do me a favor and tell everyone where not only could they follow you on Twitter, but check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Boom. I just want to say thank you again, man, for having me on. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, right. We may have differences of opinions sometimes. At the end of the day, we have the one common bond that unites us. It's gaming. and that's the most important thing above anything else. But great panel, man. Great show as always, and looking forward to coming back again. We got to get you back on Brap, by the way. I think it's been a little bit too long since you last been on, man. So we got to make that happen sooner than later. But everyone, if you guys want to give us a follow on YouTube, you can find us at the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. We I can't even talk. Podcast live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Although we were off last week for the holiday. We'll be back this Wednesday. I know it's New Year's Day, but we'll be back at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, kicking off the new year with Brap. So definitely looking forward to that. And we're going to be talking about the games that we're looking forward to in 2020. And if you want to give us a follow on Twitter, you can at Brap_podcast. Thank you.
Listen, great to have you on. Love working with you. And yes, I definitely got to jump back on Brap. For sure. Noof Nukem, you have a lot going on. You are bringing back a community favorite come the new year. We're very excited that you're going to be bringing back Gaming After Dark with your lovely co-host. And obviously you're very vocal on Twitter. You are not afraid, and you certainly do not shy away from basically giving your opinion, and you are of course respectful but can be nasty at times, which we love about you. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out what you have going on your channel.
That's right, everybody. First of all, thank you for having me here. This was awesome. Amazing panel. Great input from everybody here. I'm always having fun on these things. And a lot of people ask me, Noof, how come you're not on so many podcasts anymore, part of this panel, that panel? Well, I'm sorry, guys. Most of the guys hosting these shows are all in the Eastern time zone. So, makes it difficult. That's why I was a bit late tonight. By the time I got home and got everything fired up, man, I'm just a bit late. So I do apologize for being tardy, but still here. Gaming After Dark coming back January 6th. It's going to be back on my YouTube channel. It's just Noof Nukem. It's pretty easy. If you know my name, it's just like it's spelled here in the chat and on the panel. So Noof Nukem, me and Prime Lee, we're going to be back at it. If you haven't seen Gaming After Dark, well, it isn't a lot different than other podcasts. We're going to be talking about games.
A little bit more edgy, I will say.
A little bit more edgy. It's probably not as technical savvy as a lot of the podcasts, but it is, it's the stuff you expect from Noof Nukem on a little bit more of an R-rated level. Anybody who's familiar with this kind of knows what you're in for. So if you're, if you don't like a little innuendo and stuff like that with your podcast, probably not the place to come. I'll honestly tell you that. Keep your kids away. Okay, it's not a kid-friendly show most of the time. Me and Prom will get down and raunchy, but it's always a lot of fun, and our guests have fun on there too. But outside of that, it's just par for the course. I want to say to everybody in the chat, everybody that's came out to watch, everybody supported your shows this year, boom. A big thanks to everybody that's been here. And I just want to wish, because this is, I think, your final primetime gaming of 2019. So I want to wish everybody on behalf of Noof Nukem a very happy new year. Be safe, be happy, play some games, stay away from the crap. Just have fun with it, baby. That's it. And boom, boom, kaboom. I'll see you in the new year. And I guess last but not least, can't go with this guy chiming in at least for 1 or 2 minutes here. Or no, not a minute, but this guy, you guys know this guy. Guys, I wanted to wish you all a very happy new year. It's great to be here. I wanted to come on here. I've been waiting to get in here with the Boom. He has me on once in a while. I jump in on his shows and I talk about gaming. But, really I need to get my own podcast about the bodybuilding and building up your muscles. But most of the time when you're playing games, your only risks are getting stronger. But that's good. It's great in the washroom. I can tell you it comes in handy. So just keep it up. Keep pushing the buttons. And don't forget, get to the chamba. Do it. Let's go. Have a happy new year.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Arnold. I definitely appreciate that. I'm going to send you the check. It's not going to be a lot, but every bit helps when you're not making films. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate that. And actually, we have So Shady. Listen, you obviously are a regular on the show. You are a regular on Breakfast with Boom. We love having you. You had taken some time off, but you come rearing back into full form, and you're kicking ass and taking names. Great big fan of Star Wars. And of course, the Sesh Empire, which is what you rule outside of the realms of the dreaded Empire. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out the shows you're on.
Certainly, Boom. It's not a problem. Had a great time coming on this week, as I do every week. And like you said, you find me Monday nights on Primetime Gaming, Friday mornings, Breakfast with Boom. And then this week only, we're sending off the 2010s with a bang. I'm going back where it all started for me. I'm guesting on the RDX Gaming Podcast tomorrow, Dealer Gaming Show, everybody. For those not in the know, I'm coming back to talk games with the old crew again. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. I love getting back with those dudes and just shooting the shit, man. So there's that. That's tomorrow night. Come out and say hi. Come send off the year with us, man. I'm not sure what the topics are, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna be fire, and I'm looking forward to that. Outside of that, if you want more So Shady, you want to see what I'm doing, you want to see me choking trolls out, you just want to hear a little bit from the inner depths of my mind, if you will, maybe you want to laugh, whatever. You find me on Twitter at The Sesh Empire. That's one word. Stand up, get recognized, become an agent. Don't lounge around like some casual, some non-subscriber. You know what I'm saying? If you're like me, you used YouTube for years without ever subscribing to a channel, without liking anything. I just clicked on something, I watched it, that was that. All of a sudden, I started clicking on some stuff. I started subscribing. I started leaving comments. I'm crack addicted. I can't help myself. I come back numerous times throughout the week, and I check the comment sections on the shows that I'm on. I respond to people. Doesn't have to be directly to me. Just leave your guys' input. What's your guys' top 5? What are the worst games of the year? What's the games of the decade for you? Disagree, not agree, it doesn't matter. But the more you interact, the more entertaining it is, well, for everybody. And it does. It helps out the channels hugely, tremendously. These computer algorithms, man, they love the clicks. They love clickety click, 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 click. Whether it's an upvote, a downvote, a comment, it doesn't matter. It's awesome. It's awesome. If you watch the show a lot, it would just be so appreciated. The next thing you know, you're like me and you just can't help yourself, and you're commenting on every other video you watch. You're liking everything. It's great. It would be so good. We had almost 400 watching tonight. Blew my mind. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I hope everyone's had and continues to have a very safe and happy holidays. Happy gaming, of course. I'll talk to everyone later. Tomorrow night would be awesome. Thank you, everyone. Take it easy.
All right, well, thanks for being here, dude. And obviously, we're going to be looking to set up a Breakfast with Boom this Friday. I'm trying to put the panel together. Hopefully, there'll be a lot of people off, and I'll be updating the community if that show is in fact going to happen. It looks like it is. I have a few guests, and I don't want to take any more breaks from podcasting because you know what? As fun as it is to play games, I enjoy talking about them. And last but certainly not least, Tempest Son. Listen, dude, you are our resident MMO master. You're also a sniper with a license to kill, and you also are quite vocal on Twitter. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, team up with you so you don't kill them first.
My gamer tag is Tempest Son with a space. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm down to play whatever. Just shoot me a message and we'll take it from there. I got a lot of games, so should be set. And on Twitter, it is at the Tempest Son. Add me on there. I poke in, throw some gifts around, and that's what I do on Twitter. So, but I'm down to talk to anybody. And once again, Boom, thanks for having me on. I'm glad I could make the second half. And I really enjoyed the topic, like the top 5 topic. I love it when it's just like, you know, hey panel, go for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I try to make it fun. Obviously, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. But listen, I want to thank everybody for being here. Again, the number, according to the analytics, is 420 today, and that's a big deal. I want to thank everybody for being here and, of course, hanging out with us for over 2 hours. Of course, I could not do this without the panel. You fine gentlemen really made this show special. A good way to close out a very, very successful 2019 for Double Barrel Gaming. I am going to be back at this tomorrow at noon, and tomorrow's Xbox Factor podcast, it is in fact a special edition. The guest list is stacked. Not only am I going to have Zemi Games, who's a regular, and of course the Welsh Gamer, we're going to have Randall Thor, Dealer Gaming, and the Graphic God to close out the Xbox panel for tomorrow. And of course, we'll be back at it again Friday morning with the new 2020 episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'll be making an announcement who's going to be on that panel, but you can expect fire from each one of those shows. And I am going to say this, and I'll say it now because obviously, you know, no one's probably drinking yet. But if you're going to go out and you're going to have fun, and this is the police officer in me, please, whatever you do, folks, don't drink and drive. It ruins lives. It honestly really does. And I have seen some horrible, horrible things.
Yep.
Call a cab, get an Uber, have a friend, have your mom, have your neighbor come and get you. Just don't drink and drive. And I want to wish everyone a great night. And on your way out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you tomorrow at noon for the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. Have a great evening, everyone. Thanks again.